and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Listen anytime.
It happens
anywhere.
Everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news
With the News Talk STL app. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
I'm Greg Gutfeld.
I'm Martha McCallum.
I'm Brett Baer, and this is the Fox News Rundown.
Wednesday, June 19th, 2024. I'm Jessica Rosenthal. He signed an executive order meant to get tougher on the border, but the president's since taken new action meant to keep more undocumented migrants here in the U.S.
This administration is removing almost no one, certainly not anyone from the interior of the country.
I'm Dave Anthony. The Biden-Trump rematch is getting more personal. The president's branding his rival a convicted criminal. But a lot of focus remains on him and his supposed senior moments on video.
I think this is going to be an effective line of attack for Republicans. Certainly, optics are everything.
And I'm Will Kane, and I've got the final word on the Fox News Rundown.
Earlier this month, the president signed an executive order that said the U.S. would stop considering asylum requests temporarily until daily encounters of migrants at the border dropped significantly. But since then, Fox News obtained a memo that went out to agents in the San Diego sector, telling them to release all Eastern Hemisphere migrants into the U.S. because they're too hard to remove, with the exception of migrants from 6 countries, including Russia and Tajikistan. Speaking of, 8 nationals from Tajikistan accused of having ties to ISIS have been arrested months after they entered by crossing the southern border. There have been more reports of violent migrant crime as well. An El Salvadoran man was arrested for last year's murder of Maryland mother Rachel Marin. Her mother, Patty, told Fox News anchor Martha McCallum.
She was a mother and a daughter and someone that was very dearly loved. And I don't want to reduce her life to just a political name, if that makes sense.
A 25-year-old Ecuadorian migrant's been arrested for raping a 13-year-old girl in New York. With all the undocumented people here, ICE agents are totally overwhelmed. Fox's Bill Maluzhin reported last week.
Federal sources telling Fox News ICE's non-detained docket has now exploded to 7.4 million cases so far in fiscal year 2024. We're told it's on track to hit 8 million by the end of this year.
Now, President Biden's authorized a new rule. It's meant to allow 500,000 undocumented migrants who are married to Americans to obtain legal status without going back to their home countries first.
This action will allow them to file the paperwork for legal status in the United States, allow them to work while they remain with their families in the United States.
But former President Trump said at a rally in Racine, Wisconsin,
under this program, a deluge of illegals will be given immediate green cards and put on the fast track to rapid citizenship so they can vote. I think a lot of them are going to vote for me. You want to know the truth?
He called it an amnesty program.
I've served at DHS in a couple of different administrations, and I've never heard this issue come up, really.
Chad Wolf is the former acting Homeland Security Secretary and now the executive director of the America First Policy Institute.
In theory, and not really in theory, but in practice as well, you use executive action and executive authorities to solve a problem that is facing the country. And so it feels like in this instance, though, the Biden administration is really searching for a problem so that they can announce this and have this event a couple of months out from an election. And I don't say that to be flippant, but that's just the reality of the situation, because in the DHS fact sheet, and if you hear the White House, which I'm sure we will hear, they talk about 2 issues at stake here. One is keeping families together through this action, and one is to either shield or protect individuals from deportation. And so if we kind of look at those two issues, and I'll take the second one first, is this administration is removing almost no one, certainly not anyone from the interior of the country. And even if these individuals were being removed, they're actually not a priority for removal under the Biden administration's enforcement priorities. So this idea that they're shielding anyone from deportation, the facts don't actually back that up. These are individuals, by DHS's own own fact sheet have been here for 23 years on average. So clearly they're not concerned about being removed or deported.
But can you tell me, because I always thought, I guess I was under the impression that if you get married to a U.S. citizen, then the path is extremely easy. But I have since learned from only one person that I spoke to be honest, it was only one individual, but this person told me that it's actually not so easy. Has the process changed over the last decade or so?
Well, everyone defines easy a different way, right? And so let me back up and just say that if you are a U.S. citizen and you want to marry a foreign national, or you want to marry someone that is perhaps here on a business visa, that is, again, a foreign national of some other kind, but they're here in the U.S., you go through a very lengthy process, right? To marry that person and then try to get that person into the country on a green card, right? There is a process in place to do that. There is also a process in place that if you are an illegal alien spouse, right, which is to say you have married a U.S. citizen, there is a process in place for you to cure your unlawful status here in the United States so that you can get work authorization and you can do certain things. And that process has been in place for some time now. And so maybe what the Biden administration is saying is, I don't like that process and I want to make it more efficient. And by doing that, they're putting all of these illegal aliens' spouses at the front of the line, in front of U.S. persons that have perhaps married a foreign national and are trying to get them a green card. So again, from my perspective, it again shows me that we're prioritizing the needs and the wants of foreign nationals, in this case, illegal aliens that have been here for some period of time, over the interest of other U.S. citizens.
Let's talk about some of the other things we've heard about going on at the border over the past, couple of weeks now. 8 nationals from Tajikistan have been arrested. I guess the FBI told ICE they may have ties to ISIS. And it sounds like they entered a while ago, crossing the border. When they did undergo some vetting, but nothing was flagged right away. Is there something to our system here that we need to either, I guess, correct or fix? What happened here?
Yeah, so I think this is a good example of kind of the inefficiencies, I wouldn't say inefficiencies, but the holes in our vetting system, right? So we vet individuals that come across that border. Border Patrol will quote unquote vet them, but their information is only as good as the information that they're given, right? And so the way we vet individuals is we check our own databases here in the U.S. Perhaps they've committed a crime, or they've come into the country and they've been deported, and so we have a record of them. But we will also ping their home country to see if they have any warrants, arrests, or anything else, so that we understand who they are. Some countries give us that information. Well, I should say some countries have good information. They keep good information and they provide it to us when we ask. Other countries don't have either, don't have good record keeping and don't provide that information when asked. And my guess is that Tajikistan is one of those countries that we just don't have good information on who they are. We know they came from Tajikistan. I believe they're Russian nationals. And so the idea of getting good clarity around who these individuals are as they cross that southern border is going to be very difficult to do, which is what occurred here. At the same time, we've got hundreds of thousands of folks coming across that border. I would say millions every year under the Biden administration. And so you can't interview these folks. You can't spend the amount of time that you want with them. Instead, you're just processing them. And so that's what's happened here. They were allowed to enter the country. And then the FBI, which we don't have a lot of clarity on, they came to the attention of the FBI at a later date, whether that was part of a separate investigation or not. They came to the attention of the FBI, who identified them as problematic, and they have since been arrested.
Speaking of Russia and Tajikistan, we have this memo that was sent to agents, a DHS memo sent to agents in the San Diego sector. Despite the president's executive order, I guess agents in the sector were told to release single adults into the country, Eastern Hemispheric migrants, release them into the U.S. because they're too hard to deport, except for people from 6 countries, including Russia, Georgia, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan. If people know they're not going to be deported from a major border crossing in California, that seems pretty significant. Like, does that make the executive order from earlier this month largely irrelevant?
Well, it certainly does in the San Diego sector, because here's always been the problem with the Biden administration is they say one thing, but then you start to dig into the details and you start to see exemptions and loopholes in all the quote unquote enforcement actions that they take. So on the surface, this seems like a good idea that you're going to cap the number of illegal aliens coming into the country. But then you see an email sent to the San Diego sector, which is a very busy sector in Southern California. And you see that they're exempting over 100 different nationalities from the Eastern Hemisphere that don't apply to that cap that will be released into the country. And so you scratch your head and you say, wait a minute, why didn't the White House tell us about that? Why weren't they transparent with the American people about that? Instead, it has to come out after the fact. And I think that's where this administration continues to lose credibility with the American people, because they say one thing, but the reality is something very different.
We have these new numbers from ICE. Obviously, ICE different from the Border Patrol, right? ICE is the interior, showing their caseloads are overwhelmed from all the people who've already been released into the country. I guess it's called the non-detained docket. It's up to 7.4 million people. It's on track to hit 8 million by the end of the year. Is this why some of these people don't end up getting to court until like 2027 because of this huge backlog?
Yeah, that's exactly right. What we've seen is that non-detained docket. So these are individuals that come across the border and they're released into American communities, right? So they are non-detained. They're not detained. And we've seen that number under the Biden administration almost double because of the sheer number of individuals coming across and the fact that they are not detaining and removing hardly anyone. The percentage is so low as an overall percentage of the amount of people coming in. And so you see that non-detained docket grow. And what we know is that individuals on that non-detained docket, the data shows that very few, if any, are removed from the country. And so if your goal, as any immigration system should be, is to actually effectuate a removal of someone that doesn't have a legal right to be here in the United States, then the non-detained docket is really not the way to go, right? You need to detain them in order to remove them. Because again, data shows that folks that are detained almost, I wouldn't say quite 100%, but close to it, are removed if they are detained. And so the fact that the non-detained docket is not only growing, it also tells you it can grow as large as it wants, but no one's actually being removed. And that's the end goal. The goal is not just to put someone on that non-detained docket. It's actually to effectuate a removal. And if the process that you have put in place doesn't do that, then in my view, that's a failure.
Okay, so finally, the crime. We have an undocumented man arrested. Is accused of raping a 13-year-old girl in New York. This mother from Maryland, Rachel Marin, her suspected killer was arrested in Oklahoma. She was killed last year. We obviously already have the horrible stories of Laken Riley and Ruby Garcia. I kind of hate what I'm about to ask you, but are these largely preventable deaths? Are these largely preventable murders? Like if we had migrant protection protocols in place, if we had some policy, whether it was from Congress or from the executive office, I mean, however you want it to be, were these deaths preventable?
Yeah, I mean, here's what I would say is every crime committed, whether it's murder, aggravated assault, or any other, serious crime or felony that's committed by an illegal alien is 100% preventable, right? That's an illegal alien that shouldn't be here in the United States based off of our law. And so it's preventable. What the left will try to tell the American people is that as an overall percentage of the amount of crimes committed in the U.S., that illegal aliens commit very small portion of that.
Yeah, sure, but it's just one person. What if it's your person?
Right, exactly. My question is how few is too many, right? Like it doesn't matter if an overall percentage is lower. These are crimes that should never have been committed. And when you see them, like Rachel Marin, right, and you start to look at the individual that allegedly murdered her, you see that he has a record in El Salvador, right? He's wanted for murder there. He committed a crime in California. And so you start to see a pattern here of individuals, and there's quite a few of them that come across that border every single day that are public safety threats. And so whether they amount to 8%, 10%, or 25%, to me, it makes no difference. We should have a system that's designed to protect Americans, whether it's 1 or 1,000 Americans. And when you release these individuals and you don't understand who they are, and then they commit these terrible crimes, you shouldn't just shrug that off and say, well, it's a small percentage. You should say the system has failed us and let's address it.
Yeah. Executive Director of the America First Policy Institute, Chad Wolf, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thanks.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to gawon'twait.com.
Do these 3 words make you cringe? Calcium oxalate stones. If so, then this message will be a huge relief, because now there's a kidney health supplement that has shown in laboratory tests to reduce the rate of calcium oxalate crystal growth by 99%. That's right, 99%. It's called Kidney Cop, Calcium Oxalate Protector, and nothing else comes close to its success. In fact, it has a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Kidney Cop is so innovative, it's been awarded 5 U.S. patents, is recommended by doctors and pharmacists, and is winning rave reviews from people all over the country. You can be one of them. Kidney Cop is super affordable. You can purchase affordable Kidney Cop today by visiting Amazon.com, Walmart.com, or KidneyCop.com. If you cringe when you hear the words calcium oxalate and you worry about reoccurrence, then you need Kidney Cop right away. Purchase Kidney Cop today at Amazon.com, Walmart.com, or KidneyCop.com.
These statements have not been reviewed by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Sponsored by Calcium Oxalate. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
On Wednesday, Tim and Chris have Zach Smith of Heritage on Biden's latest plan to appeal to undocumented families, and John Simmons on his campaign for State Rep District 109.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Speaking to Ashley Hayek, Executive Director of America First Works.
When you have the domestic abuse and drug and murder scandals and rape and, abusing animals, all of that happening within the NFL, it's really hard for them to have a leg to stand on to try and take down Harrison when he's speaking about pro-family, pro-faith values.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Like any good conservative, we have our principles and our values.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world,
I don't even know how conservatives can even take their head out of the ground long enough to complain about anything.
You're trying to call us conservatives Nazis.
I think they ought to be ashamed.
it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
All we want is freedom and liberties and less government.
I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I'm an American.
Welcome home.
Because everyone gets a voice.
This is News Talk STL.
News and information.
Welcome home.
We'll fight for America like no one has ever fought before.
Americans across the country are ready.
And so are we.
This is Democracy 24.
Your freedom, your vote.
Fox News.
America is watching.
Providing a full picture of the news. You're listening to the Fox News Rundown. More up next.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
On the next,
Larry Connors, USA.
So Hunter Biden convicted on all 3 federal felony gun charges. What happens next?
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Are you even thinking about getting new windows? Tim Jones here to tell you need to call Window World. They're simply the best for less. 314-993-1800. One of only 2 window companies in the country that carry the coveted Good Housekeeping seal of approval. Carrying a lifetime warranty covering all parts, glass breakage, and labor. Incredibly durable, incredibly beautiful, incredibly thermally efficient. For the first time ever, Window World offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Any questions? Free in-home estimate. 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800, windowworld.com, windowworld.com.
Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michael's Flooring Outlet. Michael's Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michael's to rip up their old carpet and replace it. They are both happy with the product and installation from Michael's. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peters, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Hey, Colombo here for the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Summertime in St. Louis means things like family gatherings, barbecues, and graduation parties, and Zero Res knows how important it is to have your home as clean and healthy as possible for your friends and family, so they're kicking off summer with an amazing offer. Book a cleaning in June and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. Just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, if you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, listen up. Car Shield is a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan now available to you. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Please call 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate today will also receive free roadside assistance and towing at no additional cost. That is 800-925-7584 right now. On this Wednesday, the White House is very annoyed that some Americans believe the president is over the hill. In fact, he might not even know a hill is involved. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre is saying all the hysteria falls under the cheap, fake banner. So what's that? A cheap fake is an altered video. Some dishonest person uses technology to make a video appear real when it's actually falsely edited. President Biden's people say that's what's happening to him all the time. To some extent, the accusation is fair, but cheap fakes really are not necessary in Joe Biden's case. He's having trouble due to his age. Nothing fake about it. If President Biden is reelected in November, the United States will be altered forever. The heavy odds are the president will not complete a second term, so Kamala Harris would become president. She is far more alert than Biden, but totally unqualified to run the country. Just look at her border resume. Remember, President Biden put her in charge of figuring things out down there. I guess she's still working on it. Summing up, the Biden opposition doesn't need to fake anything. The president is not succeeding, and things will get worse. Can the fake embrace the reality? Back after this. Are you feeling the impact of the recent changes in the timeshare industry? My friends at Lone Star Transfer are the only company I trust to help you. For more than a decade, they have successfully helped over 20,000 owners get out of their timeshare with an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau. Customer service is their priority. For a free consultation and a guaranteed solution, 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Dry overnight, mild 76 to start and heats up quickly from there. High of 94 Wednesday afternoon, heat index of 96. There's a 20% chance for a spot shower or storm. Most of us stay dry, though. Thursday, partly cloudy, dry, and hotter. The high, 96. Heat index, though, around 99. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
I heard the call to serve, so I answered. I earned a title and discovered my purpose. I found belonging, an unbreakable bond with my fellow Marines. We fought to overcome adversity together in defense of our nation and its people. I've lived a full life, rich with meaning. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will always look after those around me. I will always uplift and support my country and my community. Because that is the promise I made. That is what it means to be a Marine. Semper Fidelis. Always faithful, always Marine.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Let's get the day started right. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
You know, it's one thing for your kind-hearted friend or neighbor, or maybe even you, to say, I don't want to waste things. I don't want to pollute. I don't want to litter anywhere. I'm like that. I don't want to litter. I don't want to pollute anything. But then you go to the extreme. We're talking about the climate cult types who say you don't have a right to run your community the way you want. You don't have a right to run your business the way you want. You don't have a right to have local control. We're going to impose our climate extremism on you. Well, how can they do that from way over there, even states away? A little bit later on today, I'm going to tell you how it's being done. Or I should say, our friends at Sept are going to tell you how that's getting done. And yeah, it could affect us right here in the News Talk STL area. Hey, I'm Mike Ferguson. Good morning. We are about halfway through the week. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of this Wednesday morning. Hunter Biden. Oh, man, you know it's going to be something spicy whenever I start off a statement by saying, hey, Hunter Biden, you know he's been convicted, so it's all said and done. We just wait for the sentencing. Well, not really. the gun charges, kind of small potatoes in the bigger scale of things. On Tuesday, we visited with Paul Kamenar from the National Legal and Policy Center, and he reminds us Hunter Biden's got another trial coming up, this one having to do with his taxes, and this one might actually affect more than just him. Could this have a much bigger effect on anybody named Biden and possibly even the elections and politics in general? Here's what Paul had to tell us.
We've got the gun charges. That seemed pretty self-evident as far as the violation of the laws, and you can debate, the Second Amendment, application of the laws, but that's now water under the bridge. But the next trial that Hunter Biden is facing, you're writing and you're arguing could be a much bigger deal. Why is that?
Yeah, that's true. And by the way, it's Kamenar.
Kamenar. Okay, I'll get it right next time.
Right. Yeah. The gun charge was basically a sideshow here, and he's going to be sentenced sometime in October, just before the election. So we'll see what happens there. I think he'll just get probation. But what happened a year ago was he tried to get the gun charge and the tax charges swept under the rug, and the federal judge would not have anything to do with that nonsense. So that's why we're seeing that the two cases are now going forward, the tax case. And he's going to appeal that, by the way. He'll probably raise the Second Amendment argument. It's not a bad argument to raise, but I don't think it's going to work for him. The tax case is a lot more serious because of a number of reasons. One, it's several felonies that raise more serious charges where he avoided paying taxes of some $1.4 million. Didn't file. He was taking tax deductions such as $10,000 to join a sex club, and he called that a business expense. Now, maybe he's in the porno movie business and needed a tax deduction there. But there's a lot of that kind of stuff, paying prostitutes and all that. So that's a more serious case, and it's going to bring out a lot of the whole Biden crime family involved in this, because it's going to get into the money he got from China overseas, and it's going to implicate, of course, his family and the big guy being Joe Biden, who, according to the laptop, is supposed to have gotten 10% of the cut of all this money coming in. So you thought that the gun case was kind of embarrassing to the family, which it was, in terms of his drug addiction and his relationship with his brother's widow, and so forth. And his stripper girlfriend testified that he was using drugs. So that was kind of pretty salacious and damaging to the family. This one and coming up in September is going to be a lot worse, and the consequences are a lot worse, because something like that at least calls for a year or two in prison, whereas the gun charge, he can get a slap on the wrist. So it's going to be interesting as that plays out, and so there we are. And then, of course, if come the election, I think if Biden loses, he'll pardon his son, and therefore his son won't see any jail time. And even if he wins, I still think he probably will pardon his son, especially if he gets any jail time, or he might what's called commutation, commute his sentence, meaning you don't go to jail, but you still have the offense on your record. So we'll see how that goes. And what's really disgusting here is that the prosecutor, as I said earlier, tried to sweep this all under the rug a year ago. Well, a couple things there that he's still sweeping under the rug, and he did sweep under the rug, and that is, in terms of the tax charges, he didn't charge him with the income he got from Burisma in 2015, 2016, as not paying taxes on that. And he just diddled for 5 years investigating Biden and let the statute of limitations run on that. So by the time this deal last year fell through, and he said, "Oops, I better start filing the tax charges." He realized, like, I can only get them for stuff after 2016. So the Burisma charges are not being prosecuted, and more importantly, we argued that the National Legal Policy Center, who I represent, we filed a complaint, over 3 years ago with the Justice Department saying, "Hey, guys, where's the charges for violating the Foreign Agents Registration Act?"
Mm-hmm.
He was clearly acting as a foreign agent with the Chinese group and so forth, and promote those companies and their relationships with the then vice president and also his buddies here in Washington. And so those charges were not made, and the statute of limitations ran out there. So no matter how you look at it, Hunter's getting a break in any event, and we'll see if he pleads guilty. Maybe he realizes that he did a bad job with the gun case. Thought he could waltz from that one by being tried in a friendly forum there in Wilmington, Delaware, which is his home court. But even there, the evidence was so damning. So we'll see how it plays out.
Morning, Paul. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So wanted to go back to the Biden crime family connections to this tax trial here. How deep are the current known connections between this particular case and the case being made essentially by Congress that the Biden family was running an influence peddling scheme and funneling money through Hunter? Is there a solid evidence there? Is it already pretty damning, or is there more to be found during discovery?
No, I think the solid evidence here, the committees on the Hill did an excellent job, and it's still, they're still getting some more information in terms of discovering all the money, some $10 million that went to the Biden family. I know the impeachment inquiry didn't go through, and the Democrats saying, "Well, you haven't shown that Joe Biden actually got his dirty, grubby hands on some money here." Well, that's not really true. There's some money check from his brother James Biden and Jim Biden's wife to Joe Biden. So I think $40,000 that came in just a day after this other deal with James Biden went through, and they said, "Oh, that money was for let's see here. Oh yeah, we were repaying a loan to Joe Biden." Okay, well, where's the loan documents? Oh, well, we don't have it. And then the other thing is, under the federal bribery law, you don't have to show that the bribee actually got money or anything of value, as long as you can show his family did. And certainly you've got $10 million going to the family, the grandkids. I mean, what did they do for that? And what did Hunter Biden do to get that money? So that all is going to probably come out one way or the other in the tax case, because it has to show that this money was coming in. He wasn't paying any taxes on it, and so forth. So we're going to probably see a lot of this replayed in the tax case. I don't know if we're going to get anything new out of it, but you never know. Some surprises can always come up.
Good morning, Paul. Stel Ponticus here. I know you've probably heard this one before, but as a Chicago kid, I've got to toss it in there and ask you, tax issues were the downfall of Al Capone. Is that a fair comparison in this case?
Yeah, well, I think it is, but it's probably more apt for Hunter Biden, because the tax thing goes right to the heart of what Hunter Biden did, namely getting money. With Al Capone, the tax thing was a collateral issue to his, the other crimes that Al Capone was committing, which they couldn't get him on, so they got him on the tax charges. But I think there is some similarities there.
Hey, Paul, real quick. I mean, when these charges first were brought up, one of the arguments they made is, listen, he went and amended his taxes. He paid him. He paid the penalties. It's all political now because he's already paid all this off. This is a non-issue at this point. We shouldn't even be having that. What's the answer to that claim that they've started making? A year and a half ago or whatever it was.
Yeah. That's a lame argument. It's like the bank robber saying, "Hey, wait a minute, I paid the bank back, so why are you prosecuting me for robbing the bank, guys?" It's the same thing here. Number one, number two, that money he repaid it. He got it from his bro, this Hollywood lawyer who funded that and who also spent a couple $100,000 for a piece of his artwork, if you want to call that artwork. So all this money was coming in from the side. It wasn't that he was doing it. So that was done quickly by this Democratic liberal lawyer in L.A. to try to hurry up and get this under the rug, and it almost worked. Like I said, a year ago, they were ready to say, "Hey, let's sweep this under the rug. I pay the taxes. Let's defer the gun charge. If I stay a good boy, that goes off my record." So no, you can't get away with that. And so the fact that he paid the taxes, that means he was just caught, and he's doing that. Plus, in addition, there are fines you can be assessed on top of repaying your back taxes. So it's not a pretty good argument, although you try to make that.
Paul, in the last couple seconds here, I just kind of have a quick aside about the paintings and the money laundering through the sale of art. Are there laws against that kind of thing, or is that kind of a solid way for people to hide money?
Well, that's a very, very good question, because that is a loophole in the Bank Secrecy Act and the money laundering laws where it's hard to trace that source of the money, because a lot of times somebody will buy a piece of art and the buyer was, quote, anonymous, and so you got money going through there, and the art gallery itself was under investigation in terms of its own business. They got some PPP loans during COVID that were quickly approved by the SBA and so forth. So that whole thing needs to be another further investigation there. But the artwork is another side hustle that he had, and so that didn't really go very far.
Okay, before we get to the website and social media from your organization, I just want to point out that I did a landscape watercolor painting in a high school art class. I'll sell it for half of what Hunter Biden got for his painting. I'm just saying it's for sale there. And even though I don't like paying the taxes, I'll pay the taxes.
I've got an ashtray I can sell you too.
Okay, there we go. We're in business here. All right, Paul, where do people find out more about what you are doing with the National Legal and Policy Center, in case people want to follow that?
Yeah, great. Yeah, we're a legal ethics watchdog group here in the D.C. area, and you can just go to our website. It's nlpc.org, nlpc.org, and you'll see all the good stuff we do, going after the bad guys here in D.C., going after the woke corporations that have all this diversity type programs and LGBTQ and all that. In fact, I think is Mendelez, the Oreo cookies based up there in Chicago, I think, their corporate headquarters.
That could be. That's possible.
Yeah, we're going after Oreo cookies for giving $500,000 to the LGBTQ groups who are promoting these sex books in grade school for kids and so forth. So we're exposing them. We go after them at the annual meetings and make proposals, and so they don't like to have the spotlight on them. But that's what we do here, and we appreciate your listeners checking our website out, and any support we can get. Be gladly appreciated.
All right. Yeah. See, we don't have to worry about that here in St. Louis, because this is where Anheuser-Busch is, and they make Bud Light. Oh, wait, never mind.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Never mind.
Yeah. Dealt with.
All right. Hey, Paul, I have a feeling we're going to be chatting again soon. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, anytime.
First morning news dump of the day coming your way here in just a moment on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I think you're a little confused.
News, analysis, opinion.
I've got something to say and I can't hold it any longer.
101.9 and 94.1.
You won't hear the truth anywhere but here. News Talk STL.
News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
How would you like to go on a 5-star vacation for just $99? We're talking about the quality of a Westgate resort for $99. Not for one night, but for 3 fantastic nights at one of their luxurious destinations across the United States. And you'll even get a free $100 Visa gift card just for making a reservation. We've got some of the choicest destinations that you'll love in the United States that you can choose from for just $99 for a 3-night stay. Take your family, take a special loved one, but get away. Go on vacation with Westgate Resorts. Call now to make a reservation for just $99 and you get a free $100 Visa gift card. Call Westgate right now and book your vacation. Here's the number.
800-407-9204. 800-407-9204. 800-407-9204. That's 800-407-9204.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right, we know the fate of 3 library branches that were put on the budgetary chopping block.
So either the book stays open or the book closes?
With all of the suspense, I'm going to leave it right there for a few seconds.
Okay.
See, starting off hardcore. All right. Also, where did COVID come from? A U.S. Senate hearing looked into that on Capitol Hill. This is a hearing that's about 3 years in the making. And could the Cardinals and Blues end up being the only remaining major league sports in Missouri? Sports teams in Missouri, I should say. You say, but wait a minute, you got Kansas City. Well, for now, we'll see what happens there.
Okay.
All right. It is 5:54. The library branches are going to stay open in St. Charles County. At yesterday's meeting, the St. Charles City County Board of Trustees decided to indefinitely table the proposal to close the 3 branches. District CEO Jason Kuhn, you may recall, proposed closing the McClay, Kisker, and Deer Run branches as a cost-cutting move. Hundreds of residents opposed that over the past month. The board says it will now focus on finding other ways to save money.
Well, you got to give them credit for listening to the residents.
People spoke up pretty loud and clear on that, but that doesn't change the budgetary thing. It just, okay, everybody who complained, listen, congratulations. I get it. You spoke up, you kept your library, but you know what that also means? Don't complain when they say, okay, we got to cut something else. So something's got to go. All right. But hey, that's how it's supposed to work. You're right. They're given credit for listening when people spoke up.
Indeed.
All right. Senior citizens in St. Charles County have just under 2 weeks to apply to have their property tax bills frozen. The deadline to apply to lock in the bills at this year's level is June 30th. The application is just 1 page, and it does include a requirement of proof of age and ownership of the primary residence. Contact the county collector for more information on that. Okay, the Senate Homeland Security Committee holding a hearing on Tuesday investigating what may have once been considered a fringe theory, but now is pretty much accepted. This is the truth. Coronavirus, at least the version that ran through this country and the world, originated from a lab in Wuhan, China. Witnesses providing testimony on what they know about the outbreak, providing information on what they may have on whether the virus was leaked from that lab. Dr. Richard Ebright, who serves as the laboratory director at the Waxman Institute of Microbiology at Rutgers University, had this conclusion.
Multiple lines of secure evidence point to a research origin. By contrast, as I hope I will have the opportunity to review in response to questions, no, zero secure evidence points toward a natural origin.
And there are still people who are arguing that it is a zoonotic spillover, meaning they say the virus originated in animals before jumping to humans, the wet market theory, which the evidence just increasingly is mounting against that. All right, President Biden says he's got plans to offer citizenship to thousands, tens of thousands of illegal immigrants who are already in the U.S. The measure would allow U.S. citizens' spouses, if their spouse is not legal, to apply for permanent residency and eventually citizenship without having to leave the country. Texas Governor Greg Abbott was on Hannity last night and says, you know what, his state is not only trying to secure the U.S. southern border, and the Biden administration won't, and he says they will not be following this measure.
What Biden did today is illegal, unconstitutional. Texas is going to take legal action and put a stop to it.
The administration says this could affect upwards of 500,000 illegal immigrants and give them a path to citizenship because they got married to an American citizen. So they're looking for any shortcut. 500,000. There you go.
I think they're trying to get all this done before the election. That's my suspicion.
Freedom isn't just a word. It should be a way of life for all Missourians. Wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a state where you're free from excessive taxes, regulations, and corporate handouts, and free to send your children to the school of your choice? That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together our 2024 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can progress to a bright future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from a Bill of Rights for parents to government transparency, school report cards, healthcare reform, and more. Our vision is for Missouri to be a place where entrepreneurs can pursue their dreams, parents are free to direct the education of their children, and a growing economy provides opportunities for all. Critical to achieving this vision is a government that understands the value of freedom in the lives and future of our people. Check out our 2024 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable final expense life insurance policy, regardless of your health condition. You could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. Wildfires have claimed the life of one person in New Mexico and forced the evacuation of thousands of residents in the southern part of the state. On KOAT last night, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham said Fire crews are facing a big challenge.
20,000 plus acres, 0% containment.
Moist air from the Gulf of Mexico could bring some relief to firefighters. Meanwhile, new wildfires are spreading in California. One has spread over more than 8 square miles east of San Francisco. Another blaze over nearly 16 square miles in the northern Central Valley. A heat wave sweeping parts of the U.S. has led to the cancellation of outdoor events and extra precautions.
An early blast of heat and humidity has millions sweltering in the Midwest and Northeast.
We're out in the heat every day for an average of about 6 hours.
At a farmer's market in Columbus, Ohio, Monique McCoy spends her days outdoors selling fresh vegetables.
Foods that are loaded with a lot of water anyway, naturally.
In Vermont, Katie Lanny figures paddleboard camping is the way to go.
We loaded up a bunch of things in our cooler and some camp chairs and a tent. We're going to go boat in camping for the heat wave.
Yesterday, New York City opened cooling centers, and Mayor Eric Adams says they'll be distributing cooling packs to outdoor workers. I'm Jennifer King.
One of America's most conservative congressmen is locked in a tight battle against an opponent endorsed by Donald Trump. It's in Virginia's primary election. Representative Bob Good, who chairs the House Freedom Caucus, is seeking a third term, but State Senator John McGuire has mounted a strong challenge. As of this morning, the race is too close to call. Hall of Famer Willie Mays has died at 93. He was one of the game's greatest and most beloved players. His over-the-shoulder catch in the 1954 World Series is classic. More at townhall.com.
Everybody, Charlie Kirk here. Big tech, big government, and the progressives have done everything they can to silence truth and sanity. But there's a secret weapon that they can't touch. Over 1 year ago, a new streaming platform, the Real Life Network, was launched to provide a desperate world with much-needed programming, free from the overreach of government and media. Go to reallifenetwork.com and subscribe for free. When you do, you'll receive an ebook, Countdown, God's Ultimate Endgame, as a way of saying thank you. When you sign up today, you'll have unlimited access to 100 programmers who deliver outstanding, truth-filled, hopeful entertainment for the whole family. I'm proud to be among them, as you can find The Charlie Kirk Show and several of my interviews on Real Life Network. Subscribe now at reallifenetwork.com and get a free digital download of Countdown, a book from Real Life Network founder, Pastor Jack Hibbs. That's reallifenetwork.com for your free ebook and access to amazing content today. That is reallifenetwork.com. So check it out right now. reallifenetwork.com.
Music from the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Summer officially begins tomorrow, but our local weather pattern continues to have summer written all over it. Heat and humidity in control today, up to 94 this afternoon. Top heat index at about 97. An isolated shower or storm possible this afternoon and early this evening, but emphasis on isolated. A little hotter tomorrow after a low tonight of 76. Thursday's high 96. And then we hit 99 both Friday and Saturday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Hi, it's Dr. Randy Tobler, along with daughter Sammy Tobler-Gregory, a team member here at our family-owned Body of Health Direct Primary Care Practice. Sammy, what are patients telling you about their experience at Body of Health?
I can't tell you how many patients I've had come to me and tell me they just so appreciate getting to sit across the table with their doctor and chat about whatever's going on with their healthcare needs for however long they need.
Want to learn more about healthcare the way it ought to be? Schedule a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue. And after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Katie, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
I am a young, vibrant man.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I'm Batman.
We can't rebuild our economy and
meet this climate crisis.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, the library branches will. Dramatic pause.
Drum please.
Stay open in St. Charles County.
Hey,
All
all
right, we'll get there in
right.
just a minute here.
I guess the victory for the people.
Yeah,
sort
I mean,
of.
You know, here's the thing is we'll get to in just a second. Hey, people spoke up. The elected board of trustees, you know, or the people who are elected and appointed, they listened.
All right.
So where do you go from here? Well, they still have to cut the budget.
Yep.
So something's going to get cut. So don't be one of those who just like wants to push back against absolutely every single cut. Okay, the big cuts are not going to happen. So we'll get to that in just a second here. By the way, today is a holiday, but it's not universally observed, I would say.
Today is yes, that's right. I had to check. I had to check the date.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. I'm not
It's
saying
the
it.
19th.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it.
Okay. All right. Don't say it.
All right. Should more people be looking at today and observing today as a holiday? So I think it's 620. Let's
good
talk
question.
about that. Let's talk about that 620.
All right.
Not going to say it. Okay. When enough people speak up, they get what they want. I mean, most of the time, at least. That's what happened in St. Charles County. So the library situation is basically settled now. So what they did last night at the Board of Trustees meeting is they decided to indefinitely table, meaning they didn't vote it down, but they said we're never going to vote it up.
Right.
They're going to look at the issue again as far as budget cuts in January of 2025.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So basically what they said is we're not going to close the libraries, but we're not going to take budget cuts off the table here. In the meantime, the St. Charles City County Library Board of Trustees is going to be having more, kind of feedback and community meetings to say, okay, well, you didn't want these closed. We listened, but we still have to cut the budget. Now, here's two things that I'm going to tell you is going to happen as having been somebody in both elected and appointed office. Now that the decision's been made and the libraries have been saved, most of those hundreds of people are going to go back to their normal lives. And there's going to be like a handful of people who actually follow up and give feedback to the board.
Absolutely.
That's what's
You're exactly right. Well, and who's to say how many of the people who spoke out are going to be at the library?
Well, yeah.
Then there's that.
Yeah, that's
that's a whole
possible,
other
too.
thing.
Yeah. So here's where they go from here. So the Board of Trustees, listen, you had hundreds of people showing up and emailing and calling. You listened,
and as you should have,
right?
I
mean, very few governmental entities have that many people give feedback, so they listened. Okay, that's what you do. At this point now, they have to say, okay, we've got to cut X number of tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars out of the expenses or find new ways to bring in revenue. So there's probably going to be a whole lot of proposals. Okay, well, we can cut this program or we can make this a user fee program or whatever the case is. And in every single one of those, there's probably going to be somebody who goes, wait a minute, no, don't cut that program.
Right.
No, wait a minute. Why are you charging a rental for that room? Wait a minute. Why are you, okay.
What happened to my favorite librarian?
Right, yeah, that's true too. So this is just the tough part of managing the public sphere. And because if you don't want anything cut, guess what? At some point taxes go up.
Yeah.
Or they say we're going to put a bond issue or whatever.
Something you don't like is going to happen.
Right. So at this point, for those who push back and listen, I personally, I don't remember the last time I've been to a library. I didn't really use them with my kids. I went to the library as a kid. I don't know that we necessarily have to have all these libraries everywhere, but I don't live in St. Charles County. I live in St. Louis County. So it's not for me to say, but people spoke up, they listened, but there's still the bottom line number budget issue that they have to do. So at this point, be part of the solution. If you wanted the library branches saved, you did. Congratulations, probably the right thing. But now help them that you put their feet to the fire on the idea of closing them. Now help them figure out how to make the money work.
Right.
I don't think that's too much to ask.
No, absolutely not. I mean, and here's the thing. If they had been managing this a little bit better to going, from the start, we wouldn't have been hearing any of these things. You know what I mean? Because I keep going back to that suggestion that they're spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on a digital service, and something just doesn't ring true to me here. It's like there's no way that you have to spend that amount in order to provide that sort of service.
Okay, so here's what I'm wondering, and I could be wrong about this, because like if you get an audiobook or an ebook, or my wife gets them more than I do. I like a physical book, you know, in front of me. But when we buy one, we download it once and we have the book forever. What happens with these libraries is they buy it, they download it, but it runs out. There's an expiration on the download. So if one person, you know, buys it or borrows it and then so-called checks it back in, well, they can only access it for so long, and then the next time somebody wants to get it, they're not getting the same download, they're getting a new download. So basically the library system is paying for your audiobooks or paying for your Kindle, you know, subscription. I mean, so taxpayers are paying it for you. So there's got to be an upfront rental on some of those. You know, I mean, if a book's going to be, what's it cost to download a book? $5?
Yeah.
Something like that. Okay. Well, it's 50 cents, you know, it's 75 cents. It's something along those lines, but that's where the cost is right now. So if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes.
Or you have an upfront cost for the library to have its own system. You know, own database system where you have temporary access through a website or something like that. You know, it again, I keep looking at these things like I could farm out this thing to some kid in Bangladesh who codes for fun. You know, he'd do it for like you know, $500 and you'd be done.
You know, you mentioned the word cost, Gabe. Vicky on Rumble makes a comment about how about an audit?
You know what?
To find out.
There you go.
I don't think it's ever a bad idea to audit a public entity.
Oh gosh. Actually,
I don't think it's ever a bad idea.
It should be a regular occurrence in my book.
And it actually is. I mean, the part of the state auditor's job is basically every governmental entity at some point is going to be on the list to be audited. But, you know, if there's a lot of questions about a lot of money, you can petition to have your governmental entity audited.
Okay.
I mean, that's part of state law. You can do that.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Let's see here. Before we get to the info break here, some say he was the greatest of all time, and he passed away last night.
Yeah.
I think he was.
Yeah. I cannot argue against that. At 93 years old, Willie Mays passed away last night. To say, hey, kid, I just want to leave room in the discussion for Hank Aaron. But I can't make an argument against Willie Mays being the greatest of all time.
No, I would put Hank Aaron almost right there with Willie, but I had an opportunity to see Willie quite a bit back in the late 50s and through the 60s. Whenever the Cubs played the Giants, they would always be on WGN.
That's right.
I'm sure it was the same here when the Cardinals played the Giants, and you would see them on local TV.
On KPLR for a lot of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Or wasn't on KMOX TV, I think, before that.
It could have been. So looking back on those days, I have to say, as far as what we in baseball or folks in baseball would say, Willie Mays was a 5-tool player. And I would say maybe Hank Aaron was a 4.5 or 4. And that's not fair to Hank because he was an awesome player. But Willie had that something extra that you would watch him play and go, man, this guy's got it. He's just an awesome player. He was great off the field. And one other interesting note I'll toss in here now that Willie is gone, the next oldest Hall of Fame player is Louis Aparicio, who played with the White Sox, who was one of my favorite players as a kid. He's 90, and so he's the next oldest Hall of Famer who's still with us.
Still alive. Interesting. Well, here's kind of a collection of, because you mentioned off the field as well. And Willie Mays was considered one of the greatest ambassadors for the game of baseball, just to the public. I mean, he played in the Negro Leagues, you know, then joined Major League Baseball post-integration. A lot of people didn't realize that. 24-time All-Star.
Oh my gosh.
24-time All-Star. So
correct me if I'm wrong. Also, I think he served in the military.
He did. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. He did. Yep. He had an amazing life. Here are just some clips from Willie Mays' career.
Are you Willie Mays, the greatest baseball player of all time?
I don't do that. So many things happen with me on the baseball field that I could just look back and just replay every moment. I never had a day where somebody would not come up and say, I saw you make a play. I love you because of what you did for me. And it made me feel very, very proud because not only did I play baseball for the people, they enjoyed what I did.
Of course, you saw him in Chicago. People saw him at Sportsman's Park here. Willie Mays, just one of the true legends.
Not only did he play in Frisco, but also in New York City with the New York Giants before they moved.
Yeah, and let's see here. He didn't play for the Mets after that, but did he?
Yes,
he played for the Mets for which I thought
right.
That's right, because I saw a picture. I'm like, that messes with my brain.
Yeah.
Willie Mays was a Giant. Yes, he was a New York Giant, and then obviously San Francisco Giant as well.
One other thing, when I was a kid, all of us as kids always tried to imitate his basket catch.
That's right.
In the outfield. And for folks who are not familiar with that, it's just putting your glove like a basket in front of your waist.
Yes.
And then you would try to handle a fly ball that way. And Willie was expert at doing that. And all of us as kids would try to do the same thing.
Yeah, and by the way, you're talking about the catch. And the catch came from what was the 1950 something World Series?
Yeah,
and it was like at the time a Game 7 catch. Here's what happened. That was considered one of the greatest catches, most clutch catches in the history of the game.
I'm not a gigantic baseball buff. You guys know this.
Yeah.
But his name has been synonymous with great baseball for my entire life. It's like even for those of us who don't know much about baseball, if you say Willie Mays, it's like, oh yeah, that great baseball player.
Yeah.
It was just part of the culture. It was kind of amazing.
Yeah, that was in the 54 World Series.
Okay.
Man, that happened.
And that was over his head going back towards the wall. For folks who are not familiar with that catch, he's running towards the wall, looks back over his head and catches it as it's coming over him. and the wall's right in front of him.
Running full steam.
Exactly. And he turned around and whipped it back into the infield.
Oh, jeez.
As he's falling to the ground. It was an awesome play.
It was almost superhuman.
It was.
It was. All right. Well, rest in peace to the great Willie Mays. All right. Just ahead here. All right. Today's Juneteenth. Today's a holiday.
It is.
Your bank's probably closed.
It is.
You're not going to get the mail today.
Nope.
It's a federal holiday. Should it be celebrated more than it is? Let's talk about that around 6:20 here at 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. Stop right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop right now.
What makes a barbecue champion? It's skill, it's swagger, it's choice meats, superior spices and sauces. But it starts with the simplest cooking fuel, Rockwood Lump Charcoal, made of 100% pure Missouri oak, hickory, and maple. It's premium charcoal that lights quick and burns hot, with a rich wood aroma that complements the natural flavors of meats. And because it's free from chemicals and impurities, it's more responsive for superior temperature control. What makes a barbecue champion? Rockwood Charcoal. Smoke the competition. Visit rockwoodcharcoal.com for tips and stores near you.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
This is the actual precedent set why Bernie Sanders cannot have a 32-hour work week.
The Department of Labor wishes to report that the workers of Fredonia are demanding shorter hours.
Very well, we'll give them shorter hours. We'll start by cutting their lunch hour to 20 minutes.
Where's Fredonia?
Oh, it's right.
Oh, here we go.
It's on the southern part of Gooberstam. Yeah. And of course, Rufus T. Firefly was the leader of Fredonia.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Springtime in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peter's did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, this is Mark McCloskey. Check out my show, Mark McCloskey on Fire, Sunday afternoon at 5 here on News Talk STL. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
All right, your bank's probably closed today.
Mm-hmm.
You won't get any mail delivered today because it is actually a federal holiday. There's a lot of people who probably don't realize that. Some people probably don't realize that. Should there be pushback against Juneteenth? Because there still is. I mean, it's people don't treat it like an actual holiday.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people. Or it's become so compartmentalized in our society. So 621 right now. Give me a call. 314-912-1019 or let me know in the social media, the comments. Let me know what you think or the chat box. Still ahead here. How does a law passed in another state, maybe in just another city, affect us? Well, you say, well, it doesn't. That's their business.
Well,
they can do them. We'll do us. Well, 635, find out that may not actually be how it works. Find out how the climate cult trying to use their local laws and then the courts to control things outside of their backyards. Kind of infuriating, but we'll tell you what's going on. 635. All right. You look at today as a quote unquote real holiday. See, at 635 or 621, I'm like, let's just call out what a lot of people are thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, if you question why I'm asking the question, go to any media outlet right now. Like go to Channel 4, go to Channel 5, go to Channel 2, go to CNN, go to Fox News, go to whatever, and just look at their social media post that links to their story on Juneteenth. Just read the comments.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh gosh.
Just read the comments.
Now, usually I'd say don't read the comments because it's an even worse cesspool usually than your typical day on Twitter. But yeah, absolutely. People have gotten fired up about this whole thing. I think the fight over it is silly, but here's where I think the conservative movement, Republicans, general people on the right need to be more savvy about these cultural battles. Because here's the thing. Now, yes, obviously, the Democrats and the left, they're trying to make a wedge issue out of this. They're trying to do a virtue signal by, elevating what ostensibly was kind of a regional sort of pseudo holiday, right?
Yeah,
for a while there.
It was first a holiday in Texas in 1980.
Right.
I mean, so it's not like it's a new thing.
Right. It's just they kind of acknowledge, oh yeah, there was this thing here that happened. And I mean, I'd heard the term, as a New York boy. It's like, I guess that's a thing. My dad was from North Carolina. I guess at some point I heard the term Juneteenth, but it's not like we celebrated it at our house. So it was never really a thing. The Democrats are trying to make a thing of it. Why don't we simply take it from them? I mean, because in reality, Juneteenth is probably the most Republican holiday that ever has existed in America.
Okay, so hold your thought there.
Okay.
I found a piece of audio. Somebody's like, yeah, what is Juneteenth? This is from The Root. So this is not exactly a conservative thing, but they're just saying, here's the basic history of Juneteenth. And then I want to follow up with what you just said.
Yeah.
All right, so here's just kind of a clip that they put out on like YouTube.
Juneteenth, the day Union soldiers led by Major General Gordon Granger went into Galveston, Texas with news that the Civil War was over and Texas's 250,000 slaves were now officially free. June 19th is not just about freedom, but the fight of our ancestors, the determination, and the consideration that one day their children, their children's children, and their children's children's children would be free.
Okay, so you said this should be considered one of the most Republican holidays. Why?
Well, here's the thing. The first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, led the fight of the Union against the exclusively Democrat Confederacy. Let me remind you guys that the Democrat Party in the 1800s was very much the slavery party. It was a major portion of their political platform was the protection of the institution of slavery and the protection of white folks against all of these uppity Negroes who wanted to have some freedom in America. That was the reality of the 1800s. So we're talking about a military campaign of Republicans versus Democrats, not just a political campaign. It was a military campaign of Republicans versus Democrats. The Republicans won. The Democrats cried because we took their slaves, and we should be happy about that. Freedom, the thing that Republicans are supposedly, the constitutional promises being expressed through government, that should be absolutely celebrated by the Republicans.
Yeah, and to be fair, there's somebody out there screaming at their radio. Slavery was not the only reason for the Civil War, but it was obviously a driving force.
Well, sure, yeah, it was a major driving force. It was enough that when people think about the Lincoln Douglas debates,
right?
What subject were they discussing?
Exactly.
So like let's not pretend as though it was a minor,
just trying
aspect.
to cover all the bases.
But you're
on
right.
There, yeah,
you're right. There was like, well, it wasn't yeah. I mean, look. World War II wasn't necessarily about opening the death camps.
That's right.
We didn't find out about those until later.
Right.
But that was the result. That was a part of it. Is holding back Hitler, right? So same thing.
So firstly, to me, I don't see anything wrong with Juneteenth being a federal holiday.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
There's a very clear reason to celebrate and to reflect on something. The same thing way we have Labor Day, Memorial Day, and then obviously Thanksgiving and all the others. I just don't have a problem with it. When I've said that, I've actually had people say, "Oh, you're going woke, Mike." I'm like, "That's woke."
Is it? Yeah. Is it?
I'm
though?
like, is it like a very clear historical line of demarcation? That's woke, is it?
I think it's the reactionary thing. It's kind of what I was getting at, is that we have this reactionary thing to Democrat, leftist, liberal, whatever you want to call them, their virtue signaling. It's like, oh well, if they're going to virtue signal something, I'm going to counter signal. I'm not going to co-sign their virtue signal. I'm going to say, well, that's stupid. 99.9% of the time, yes, their virtue signals are inherently stupid. They're inherently counterproductive. They're inherently based on a false ideology, a false interpretation of history. Look at the 1619 Project, right? So all of those kind of things are generally true of leftist virtue signals. But like you said, this is a clear historical demarcation of it. I would consider that an important event because there are 250,000 black folks who didn't know that they were free because of the war the Republicans waged against the Democrats.
And they were the last ones.
And
so why do you think it's become, why is it a political thing? Because the reality is that when you see a big Juneteenth celebration, it's going to be the same people that make a huge deal out of Black History Month. We know your opinion on that. And this could be the same people that have the Black Lives Matter stuff. And so it's like in a territorial thing. It's not looked at universally. It's looked at as like a virtue signaling instead of it's a holiday.
I think it's exclusively because of the timing and the people who brought it up. Like if this were brought up by a Texas Republican senator, let's say a Texas Republican senator in the 1990s, they said, "Hey, I think Juneteenth should be a holiday." First of all, back in the 90s, we were a lot more blasé about some of these things, or at least it seems as it wasn't nearly as contentious as it seems now, at least in the political realm. Down on the ground, there were still some tough times. But I don't think it would have met with this type of reaction from anybody. If a Republican had brought this up in the 2000s, it would have been met with Democrat pushback. It actually would have met with Democrat, but it's like, oh, you're just trying to pander. That would have been their reaction. You're just trying to pander to black people because they would feel threatened about their major constituency. So right now, it's very much a within the realm of the woke virtue signal because of the success of BLM, the importance of that movement to the current political aspirations of the Democrats, and it is. I think it's seen as being nakedly political because of those associations. So the value that the holiday whatever value the holiday could have held is diminished because of the cynical aspects of the Democrats.
For me, growing up in Chicago and having relatives living on the west side, which was the dominant black portion of the city, I heard about this off and on as I was growing up. And the thing that made me wonder why it's taking so long to have a proclamation like this is you had the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. Why did it take 2 to 2.5 years to let those folks know in Texas, hey, you're free. It's over. And I'm sure the fact that, well, you didn't have social media, so
well, they weren't done fighting the war either.
That's right. Yeah, you had civil war going on. Plus, you had lost a president due to assassination. So everything that was going on at that time, I can understand the difficulty of trying to get through all of it. But again, you had the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. You would have hoped that would have really opened the door for getting the word out.
Because I mean, basically, the South, the Emancipation Proclamation happened. The South was like, "Oh yeah, you want to bet?"
Right. And then the fighting continued. Was it 65 when the war was finally when the papers were finally signed? So I mean, first of all, you have that, but then of course, your run of the mill Southern slave owner isn't going to volunteer to his slaves.
That's true.
I guess, guys, I'm gonna have to let you go because the government. No, it took the presence of soldiers to do so. Well, think about the desegregation of schools. It took the presence of soldiers to get Democrats to get out of the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Bull Connor was a Democrat.
Yeah.
Okay, so social media here. A comment came in the chat room. I don't recognize Juneteenth. That's a day lathered in nothing but racism, race baiting, and hatred. Don't be fooled by whatever you hear.
Well, fooled by what? I mean, that's the thing. Is like this is it's an actual historical thing that happened, and the idea that 250,000 black folks, were given the promise of freedom that they were secured by the blood of patriots and the Union soldiers. I think that should be. It's like. Again, it's kind of like the liberation of a particular place during any other war. Why shouldn't that be celebrated? Now, the big deal being made by the leftists should be recognized as a cynical, racist sort of ploy. Absolutely, but why smear the holiday itself that way?
Yeah, I mean, could it be just because one side is saying this is ours and you must admit to our ideology if you want to be a part of this holiday?
See, again, this is where I think we should take it from them. Take it from them. Every time somebody, because they're going to want to be like, hey, happy Juneteenth, you silly Republican conservative guy. What do you think about that? I'm like, yeah, that was awesome. Lincoln kicked your butts.
All right. Keep the comments coming. Interesting to see what the discussion is going to be in the Rumble chat box. Just ahead, how are the climate cultists trying to control you from afar? We'll talk about that just ahead.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Columbo and Katie.
Just when you thought election season in Missouri couldn't get crazier, we find out that one of our congresswomen has magical powers. We'll talk about it Wednesday with Rodney Boyd at 2:20. Then we'll open closest candidate at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Summer officially begins tomorrow, but our local weather pattern continues to have summer written all over it. Heat and humidity in control today, up to 94 this afternoon. Top heat index at about 97. An isolated shower or storm possible this afternoon and early this evening, but emphasis on isolated. A little hotter tomorrow after a low tonight of 76. Thursday's high 96. And then we hit 99 both Friday and Saturday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chamber.
Feel the sizzling heat of summer savings at Seidenstricker Novi Partners. Rev up your summer on a John Deere compact tractor with 0% financing for 84 months with zero down. Or get 0% financing for 60 months with additional savings. It's time to elevate your equipment game. Don't let this sizzling hot deal slip away. Seidenstricker Novi, your partner for the land.
Offer valid through 7/26/2024. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmoscholars.org. That's herzogmoscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Sometimes it's hard to know what's real and what isn't.
Right here.
The country is heading in the wrong direction under this president. We're suffering shortages. America's running out of everything.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
When we think of separation of powers in this country, we tend to think of, executive and judicial and legislative with the national government. But there's also a separation of powers between the federal government and the states, and there's a separation of powers amongst the states in this grand experiment of a republic that we have in this country right now. Well, that's led to a lot of conflict over things like energy policy in this country. It's not just Congress, it's not just the president, but the states are now in a conflict over who gets to regulate what. My gosh, that sounds really complicated. And it only sounds complicated because, well, it is. Well, there are some lawsuits that are being settled right now where some attorneys general from red states are suing those in the blue states for their policies. Why? And what does it mean to you? Let's try to explain it. I'm Mike Ferguson. Thank you for staying with us here on American Viewpoints. I'm now joined by Dr. Bonner Cohen with the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow, or CFAC. And you just wrote about this in The Hill. Red state AGs sue blue states for trying to impose climate extremism everywhere. Man, that's a mouthful, Bonner. But let's start with what's actually happening with the lawsuits, because we're not talking about necessarily the EPA. We're talking about some states suing other states over their state policy. How does that all come into play when it comes to environmentalism and climate extremism and policies?
It's a very big issue. 19 attorneys general from red states are suing blue states, fearing that if they do not do so, blue states will be able to impose their views on climate change, which means their views on energy use around the country. How are blue states going about this? They are using state tort laws, things like public nuisance laws, racketeering laws, things that are handled at the state level in state courts, suing the fossil fuel industry for violating those state laws, which they want to see adjudicated in state courts. And if they get their way, then they will be able to impose their will, not just within their state borders, but also nationwide, because the emissions that will be regulated, that is suppressed, will come not just from the blue states, but from all states. So someone driving a car in Missouri, a gasoline-powered vehicle, is emitting greenhouse gases. And that is the way these states want to expand their views on environmental, in this case, so-called climate change policies nationwide, by using the state tort system. Well, the red states have recognized the danger in this, that it completely overturns the constitutional separation of powers, and they are asking the Supreme Court to step in. Because once this precedent has been set, it's not just going to be the case with respect to climate policy, but it could be used in other areas as well. So it's really a twofold thing. First, the blue states are shaking down the oil and gas industry for billions and billions and billions of dollars, as much as they can possibly get. And we all know, because these states include such places as California, Rhode Island, this money is all going to be well spent, right?
Right.
And secondly, they are trying to prevent their states, meaning red states and other states, from coming under the energy thumb of blue states. That's complicated, but that in a nutshell is what we're looking at.
So when you look at these lawsuits, for instance, one of the states, I'll just pick one out of the list here, Minnesota. So they're being sued by the red states. Minnesota has the right to make bad policies and bad court decisions within their borders. And so somebody may be saying, for instance, you mentioned Missouri, a red state. How would Missouri be limited or be affected by a bad decision in Minnesota if they want to overregulate for emissions or for gasoline usage or fossil fuels? If Minnesota wants to alter their market and hurt their consumers, they can do it there. How does that affect Missouri or any of the others?
It does so because the emissions go into air, and air doesn't stop at a state border. So once you have emissions restrictions within Minnesota, yes, that applies to Minnesota, but it also applies nationwide. That's the game that these people are playing. You suppress the use of fossil fuels nationwide, claiming that nationwide, these emissions, by the way, they can come from China, they can come from Malaysia, it doesn't matter. Once those emissions are subject to state laws, under the theory that the blue states are trying to impose, their writ would then extend beyond their borders, and it would affect everybody in the country. That's a crazy legal theory. It may not make a lot of sense to a lot of our viewers, but but there are a lot of things that are going on that don't make a lot of sense, and that is what they're trying to do. Incidentally, they're being bankrolled in these efforts in no small way by the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, which is encouraging both encouraging and funding these kinds of suits. The irony, of course, is delicious because the Rockefeller fortune is rooted in oil, but it has gone on to successor generations. And now these people are in league with elites in blue states and also nationwide to determine how ordinary Americans get and use their energy.
We are visiting with Bonner Cohen from the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow, or CFACT. And the article you can find at The Hill right now, Red State AGs Sue Blue States for Trying to Impose Climate Extremism Everywhere. So the case at hand here, with these red state attorneys general suing these blue states over their tort laws and what they're doing, is this about the actual climate policy, or is this about the role of the states and the states' rights and the states' authorities?
If they can get the Supreme Court to intervene on this, and that's what the red state attorneys general are trying to do, Supreme Court won't decide one way or another on climate policy, but it will decide constitutionally on this. The hope on the part of the red state attorneys general is that the Supreme Court will say, no, constitutionally, you have no authority to do this. I expect a decision to be handed down fairly shortly. Just last week, since my article was published, the Supreme Court asked the Solicitor General to look into this, which tells me that Supreme Court is taking this very seriously from a constitutional standpoint. So that's how they will make a legal ruling on this, not a climate policy ruling.
Okay, so the legal watchers, the court watchers, the policy wonks, the political nerds, the news junkies, they may be looking at this for the mechanisms and the constitutional aspect, but how will this affect just all of us in our everyday lives? I guess the big question is, why should we care what happens with this?
You should really care, because if the Supreme Court does not take up the case, then California and like-minded states. And by the way, this in separate lawsuits, this also includes a whole host of cities, places like Boulder, Colorado, New York City, and the like. They're also getting in on this. They want the money and they want the power. Then we will find ourselves in a situation where small jurisdictions, such as Boulder, Colorado, what is it, 70 or 80 square miles, will enact climate policies that, in combination with the other entities bringing these tort suits using municipal, county, and state laws, tort laws, to impose a climate agenda, which in this case means an energy agenda nationwide. So, how will that affect John Q. Citizen and Jane Q. Citizen? It will affect them directly because it is another effort to raise the cost of energy in this country, specifically politically out of favored energy, oil and natural gas, to the benefit of politically favored energy sources, wind turbines, solar panels, EVs, and the like. And if you think it's just about what kind of stove you can have in your kitchen or what kind of automobile you can drive, remember, those are only pieces of a much larger puzzle. These people are using every legal means at their disposal to try to impose their agenda, ostensibly designed to protect the world from what is actually a completely phony climate crisis, but an agenda that can put a tremendous amount of power into very few hands. And if they're able to shake down the oil companies, they will put a lot of money into their own hands. And who will pick up the tab for this? Ordinary American citizens. This is a very regressive thing. Middle and lower income people are the ones who are going to dig deep for this. So it is something that everyone should be concerned about. So be watching what the Supreme Court does on this.
All right. And we find the work that you and your colleagues are doing where?
Yes, please check out our website, which is cfact.org. That's CFACT.org.
All right. Thanks, Bonner. Good talk to you again.
Good talking with you.
Okay, so basically, if they can't get Congress to pass some crazy environmental climate extremism bill and outlaw all the things they don't like, well, try to do it from the bottom up through these local regulations, I guess. All right, once again, check out The Hill and red state AGs sue blue states for trying to impose climate extremism everywhere. That's the name of the article. All right, what do you think? 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Come on, baby, dry your eyes, wipe your tears.
This is 1019 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Congratulations to the awesome team at Connor Roofing for earning the 2024 National Best of the Best Award for Customer Satisfaction. Connor Roofing has now won back-to-back honors because they do outstanding work in all types of roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. We chose Connor Roofing without telling the owners, Rob and Kathy Connor. Their customer reviews are some of the best in the country. Please read them. Visit ConnorRoofing.com and request an estimate. Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor.
Hey, I'd like you to get to know Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. Those are dentists and my dental team, along with their dental team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. You know, whether it's economic value with their dental savings plan and their real concern about giving you value, which is, of course, quality at a great price, or whether it's their personal values, their dedication to absolute precision. I can tell you when I go in and get my treatment there, or just a cleaning, whatever, it's always, I get this feeling it's like laser guided precision. Well, yeah, they have lasers, but they don't do that for everything. Of course, it's the right tool for the right job. Whether it is dental implants, whether it's just general dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, and by the way, he can use some Botox in all the right ways for those applications as well. You'll find the greatest of care, the greatest value delivered with people who have real values, the values we share at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. Get to know them by calling 636-978-0226, 636-978-0226, or advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Danny Define with the Next Gen right here on Sundays at 10 p.m. Now back to a hot, steamy cup of Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
All right, we know the fate of 3 library branches that were put on the budgetary chopping block. Also, where did COVID come from? U.S. Senate hearing looked into that on Capitol Hill. Some people still sticking to their story. And then, could the Cardinals and the Blues end up being the only remaining major league sports teams in Missouri?
That'd be kind of weird.
It would be very weird.
Mhm.
But you know what? You know which state has lost more major league level teams than any other state? Missouri.
Really?
Think
Wow.
about it.
The heck? And we got some awesome fans here. It's
Yeah.
so weird.
Well, you lost the Browns.
Mhm.
We lost the Browns.
Mhm.
Lost the Kansas City Kings.
The Rams twice.
Lost the Rams twice.
And the football Cardinals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but if somebody actually did account the A's. People forget the A's
Oh,
were
yeah.
in Kansas City at one point. So Missouri has lost more big league teams than any other state.
Come on, Missouri.
Yeah. All right. The library branches will stay open in St. Charles County. At yesterday's meeting, the St. Charles City County Library Board of Trustees they officially decided to indefinitely table the proposal to close 3 branches, which means it's still on the books. They're going to come back and, do some sort of budget thing, but they didn't vote it down. They just said, we're not going to vote on it probably ever. District CEO Jason Kuhn proposed to close the Maclay, Kisker, and Deer Run branches as a cost-cutting move. Hundreds of residents opposed that over the past month. The board says it will now focus on finding other ways to save money.
All right. Yeah. Well, they should. They should have been focused on other ways to save money from the start, I think.
Right.
And then we wouldn't be here.
So for everybody who spoke up and said, which by the way, this is the way it's supposed to work. The governmental entity says we're thinking about doing this. The public says yes or no. In this case, the public said, no way. Okay, well, now be part of the solution, because those who you elected are still elected to run the money, to manage the books, to be the fiduciary of your tax dollars. So help them find ways to cut costs then.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and interestingly enough, as you said, Mike, because this is a local thing, they're going to foot whatever cost that comes with making sure that these branches stay open. So that may be the loss of their favorite librarian, it may be the loss of a program that they like, or it turning it into a fee structured program, or some sort of taxation in order to fill the other side of that economic gap.
Yeah, but I know, like, for instance, the dozens of people who were showing up with signs and protesting, outside of things, Save Our Library, almost all of them now are going to walk away, go back to their lives, and there's going to be very, very few people who are going to follow up and say, okay, let's finish the job of making the budget work. So that's just how it works. Okay, senior citizens in St. Charles County have just under 2 weeks to apply to have their property tax bills frozen. The deadline to apply to lock in the bills at this year's level, June 30th. The application is just one page. It does require proof of age and ownership of the primary residence. Get in touch with the county collector for more information. The form itself is really, really easy. St. Charles County is going out of their way to say, hey, here's how you apply. Here's how you do the program. We're making it as easy as possible. All right. The Senate Homeland Security Committee holds a hearing on Tuesday to investigate the origins of the coronavirus that swept through this country and the world. Of course, the working theory is that it came from a lab in Wuhan, China. There were witnesses on both sides of the argument, many witnesses providing testimony on what they know about the outbreak. For instance, Dr. Richard Ebright, who is the laboratory director at the Weizmann Institute of Microbiology at Rutgers University, has this observation.
Multiple lines of secure evidence point to a research origin. By contrast, as I hope I will have the opportunity to review in response to questions, no, zero secure evidence points toward a natural origin.
And there are still some people are trying to make the wet market argument, saying, oh, there's no way that the Chinese lab leak happened. And mounting evidence just shows this is what happened. I mean, I blame the government of China for what happened to me.
Absolutely.
You know, if nothing else, because they knew this was out and it infected tens of thousands and didn't tell anybody after hundreds of thousands of people had flown in and out of Wuhan.
And let's not forget the culpability of guys like Fauci for funding this type of stuff.
Without a
so,
doubt.
yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Blame
And
all
you had
around.
that weird stuff that went on with the virus hitting in China, but they let athletes go to various
Olympics.
competitions.
Wasn't the Olympics?
No, I think it was military oriented.
Okay,
but they let them leave, so that was very odd.
Right, exactly. I mean, at this point, the virus has become basically a cold, if you even notice it. But all the opportunities for government to lock down and try to take away, this all originated there. All right, the state of Kansas is all in on trying to lure both the Kansas City Chiefs and the Kansas City Royals out of the Show Me State by wide margins. Their legislature passed a plan to provide hundreds of millions of dollars in tax incentives to the teams if they were to cross the border. Governor Laura Kelly appears certain to sign the bill and approve the incentives and bonds. We're going to learn more about this at 7:35 with our friends from the Show Me Institute. Okay, one of the greatest, maybe the greatest baseball player of all time has died. Willie Mays died at the age of 93 last night. The 24-time All-Star had 3,293 hits, 600 home runs. And
660 on home runs.
Oh,
by the way.
660. Yeah, 660 home runs. And a career batting average of just over 300. Mays was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1979.
And by the way, the reason I mentioned 660 is he played in a couple of tough parks, Candlestick and Polo Grounds. He could have had over 700.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's see here. Speaking of baseball, Lance Lynn had a rough night in Florida last night, giving up 5 earned runs in 5 innings to the Marlins. That was part of a 9-8 loss for the Cardinals. They lost it in 10 innings. The Marlins walked it off. That's 2 extra innings games in a row for the Cardinals. Paul Goldschmidt, Brendan Donovan, and Alec Burleson all had home runs in that game. Paul Goldschmidt's really kind of getting back in his groove, man. It's starting to look like the Paul Goldschmidt that we all know.
Go Goldie.
The deciding game of that series starts this morning, actually, at 11:40. Of course, that's going to be 12:40 in Florida, but that is an early game because the Cardinals then start a home series tomorrow. So
no, you know what? Tomorrow's game is the legendary one down.
That's the one in Alabama, the Ricketts Field. Oh, that's right. So they're the home team, but they're not going to be at Busch Stadium.
And this is the game where they were going to honor Willie Mays.
And oh, geez, yeah, you don't miss that game. Yeah, I think Fox is carrying that game.
I think you're right.
I think it's on Channel 2. Oh man! All right, just ahead here, we actually now have some insight into the mass murderer the mass shooter who attacked the Central Visual Performing Arts Academy.
Oh, wow.
Channel 4 got a hold of some of his writings.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Tony Colombo here, along with Tim Jones for Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Rodney and Jen are the #1 home selling team in the area, and I could say that from personal experience. They sold our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible, which put us in a great position as we tried to find our perfect new home. And with help from the Wallners, that's exactly what we did. Christine and I couldn't be happier with our experience working with Rodney and Jen Wallner. And Tim, the numbers speak for themselves.
That's right, Tony. Everybody knows the Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. And if you're looking to sell your home, right now they have so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. They're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so no matter where you are in the St. Louis region, you can put the Wallners experience and work ethic to work for you. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call Rodney and Jen Wallner now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner Home Selling Team.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. Much of the country is still in the grip of a heat wave.
The peak of the heat for the Great Lakes into New England is today into Thursday. Then it shifts a little bit south, Ohio Valley into the Mid-Atlantic Friday through the weekend. Looking at temperatures well above normal. Also pretty humid out there, so we'll have some high heat indices as well.
Mark Chenard at the National Weather Service says temperatures in the Southwest are well above 100 degrees. Fire crews continue to battle wildfires in California. Meanwhile, in New Mexico, fires have killed one person and forced evacuations in the southern part of the state. The Senate held a contentious hearing about Boeing's safety issues with Chief Executive Dave Calhoun facing lawmakers as well as crash victims' families.
Calhoun's appearance was the first since a panel blew out of a 737 MAX during an Alaska Airlines flight in January. MAX jets crashed in 2018 in Indonesia and 2019 in Ethiopia, killing 346 people. Relatives of the dead, like Zipporah Kuna, questioned why accountability has taken so long.
Why pay attention now? Why not for the last 5 years that we have continually fought? We have been a muffled scream that has been screaming and no one has been paying attention.
Lawmakers accused Calhoun of placing profits over safety, failing to protect whistleblowers, and even getting paid too much. Norman Hall, Washington.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu claims the U.S. is withholding weapons needed for the war in Gaza. He criticized President Biden for slowing Israel's military offensive. But the Biden administration says 2,000-pound bombs are the only weapons being withheld. There's no trading on Wall Street today. Stock markets are closed in observance of Juneteenth. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Well, summer's just around the corner, but if aches and pains are keeping you from your favorite outdoor activity, I want to tell you about Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it, getting you back outside to enjoy your favorite activities all summer long. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted a walk-up with central air and a skylight, and you found it. Now, every Friday night, you get to fall asleep to the sound of your downstairs neighbors' dance parties. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Summer officially begins tomorrow, but our local weather pattern continues to have summer written all over it. Heat and humidity in control today, up to 94 this afternoon. Top heat index at about 97. An isolated shower or storm possible this afternoon and early this evening, but emphasis on isolated. A little hotter tomorrow after a low tonight of 76. Thursday's high 96. And then we hit 99 both Friday and Saturday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. Always be clear where you get your conservative talk.
The St. Louis Business Journal is now reporting that liberal billionaire George Soros is the largest shareholder of Odyssey,
the parent company of KMOX and 97.1 Talk.
Soros' maneuver raises critical questions about the future of media ownership and influence.
Money and attention is power. And when he has the money and he controls what's on the radio stations, he's going to be able to control the minds, potentially hundreds of millions of Americans.
St. Louis's trusted source and number one
for conservative talk.
This is News Talk STL.
All right, it is getting hot out there, and I know sometimes when that air conditioner kicks on or that central air kicks on, you're like, oh, man, how much is this going to cost me? Utility costs are going up. That's why you need to make sure that your home is the most energy efficient as possible. And that's why you need to call my friends at Window World. Mike Ferguson here for Window World. They are simply the best for less. 314-993-1800. I talk so much about that lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor of Window World windows. They are double strength glass. If anything ever goes wrong with them, they will stand behind them. They will make it right. But here's the other thing, is that those windows are the most energy efficient that you're just going to find anywhere. Custom made for your home, custom made in the United States for your home, still less expensive, still with that lifetime warranty, and they are going to improve the thermal efficiency of your home. That means that the latest Energy Star ratings that, or the Energy Star standards that were just released late last year, Window World Window didn't have to change anything. They already greatly surpass those standards. What that means is that when that air conditioner comes on with Window World, that cold air stays in your home. It does not leak out. And that means also in the wintertime that the heat from your furnace or your fireplace, it stays in your home. It does not leak out. And that saves you money because energy costs are only going to go up from here. Find out what they can do for you. We are talking about a business that has been part of St. Louis for 20 years. They have put Window World windows in over 70,000 homes right here. St. Louisans in Earth City, serving St. Louisans. They are part of our community. Call them 7 days a week unless it's a major holiday. 314-993-1800. Get your questions answered and come get your free in-home estimate. Let them show you what they can do for you. They do it the right way. They are not going to hound you and try to intimidate you into signing something that you don't want to sign. They'll give you the information. They'll take the measurements. They'll give you a quote, and then you decide on your own time. By the way, Window World now offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit, so it's even easier to upgrade your home. 314-993-1800. Tell them you heard Mike talking about them on the radio.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple thought Darian.
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin.
Right after the tragedy, the rush was on to pass more gun control laws. You know, that's what happens when there's a tragedy, is a lot of people like to exploit that. We're now finding out that the shooting at the Central Visual and Performing Arts School 2 years ago, can you believe that's been 2 years? 2 years ago.
2 years already.
2 years ago. Looks like it could have been prevented. And so the question shouldn't be about guns. It should be about mental health. And I'm going to try to avoid the Second Amendment and gun argument on it, because I don't want to, fall for the trap of trying to exploit a tragedy. But that's what everybody rushed for. It's what the media rushed for. You remember the school district sent a bunch of kids, don't go to school today, go to Jefferson City to lobby for gun control laws.
I remember.
And then, of course, they try to demonize the conservatives who went, no, we're not eradicating the Second Amendment. All right. By the way, News Talk STL, we've got our free app. Download it. Take us with you anywhere. And, of course, streaming audio anywhere. If you got a phone, you can stream us at newstalkstl.com, your laptop, your desktop, your tablet, whatever it is. But that app's the easiest way to do it. So just find your app store. Just type in News Talk STL, one word. Download it. It's free. Doesn't take up that much memory. And we're actually going to be adding some cool features to that app in the next couple of months as well. So, but once again, everything's always going to be free from there. Okay. Channel 4 has accessed some of the writings of the shooter who targeted CVPA a couple of years ago. His name was Orlando Harris, is the shooter. I'm not going to dwell on his name because I don't want to, glorify, but that's the evil guy that did all this thing. But Channel 4 found, if you go to KMOV.com, you go to their website, you can see the story on this. The documents from the shooter have not been released by police, but Channel 4 has accessed them. And so they've spoken with some of the family members of victims, and they put out the story. I would check it out. They published it late last night. So they spoke with the families of 15-year-old Alexandria Bell and teacher Jean Kutzka. And so the families are telling Channel 4 that investigators have given them very little information about what happened. And so, they were very interested to find out, what was going on there. So according to the writings, and there's kind of a PDF of some of the writings on there of his handwriting, but there's another one that says, F the LGBT community. Nobody from that community deserves to be loved or accepted by society.
Wow.
Now, a visual performing arts school is going to attract
large numbers,
a bigger number, of the LGBT community. And it goes on to say, and this is just the documents that are published on the story. It says, luckily for me, Central is filled with those kinds of people. So hopefully I get to kill a lot of people from the LGBT community during my attack. And you're starting to see why this hasn't been pushed out and released by the authorities, because they would say, wait a minute, that's a hate crime. But the victim, the victims didn't necessarily fit the mold, and the shooter is also in a protected class.
Right.
So you've got narrative bashing here. And I'm trying to be careful with my tone here. I'm also trying to be careful to not do the smarmy conservative influencer thing where they're like, aha, see, this proves our point.
Right.
Spike in the football. Listen, people died.
Yeah.
People got hurt.
It's a tragedy.
Yeah. And he goes on in this writing to say, based on the research I did about STLPD and their patrol routes, I would say I have approximately 5 minutes until they arrive at the scene after I fire my first shots.
Wow.
5 minutes, 5 classrooms, 1 shot. I got this. So
how long did this shooting last? Do we
minutes?
Know?
It was what, 15 minutes or something like that, because he went upstairs.
Right.
And remember, this is a charter school, but it's all under the St. Louis School District. They did away with armed police, their security, because they didn't want kids to feel uncomfortable with that. And so they disarmed essentially their security. And so police and the armed security had to get there.
And credit to them for getting there as quickly
as they did and taking control of the situation. It looks like this has been planned for years.
Oh, wow.
And remember, his family tried to get somebody to take away the guns that they learned that they had.
That's right. There was a number of attempts by the family to notify the authorities. It's like, hey, this guy is a danger to himself and others.
Right. And Missouri does not have red flag laws.
Sure.
I don't like red flag laws. But there was evidence that he should have been treated.
Right.
And I think we suspected that a couple years ago. You can put somebody into treatment, without a red flag law. You don't need a red flag law to do something like that. It's hard to do. You do need to get a court to sign off on it, as you should. But the fact of the matter is that his family was going, there's something very wrong here. There's something very wrong here. He goes on to say, and this is his writing, so you see, this is not a mass shooting. This is not a massacre. This is not a rampage. This is war against Central VPA for the worst 4 years of my life.
Right. So there's the disgruntled aspect of it, which we often see in shooters. Like they are disgruntled about something, and usually the targets of their attack are kind of the innocent bystanders within the system that they don't like.
Right. And he references the October 2017 shooting in Las Vegas as kind of an inspiration. So that's when
that's another thing, the copycat aspect of it. One of the reasons why I think did the news start not publishing the names and pictures and stuff of shooters, or was that a thing that am I imagining that happened? Or
they did. We had his name and his picture, and then it gets downplayed. I mean, I absolutely am on board with saying, let's not glorify these monsters. This guy was a monster. but it's part of the news story. It's part of the facts of the case.
Mhm.
And I don't think you're glorifying it. Like I said his name one time. I think it's all I need to do.
Right.
But what we've got here is that, according to this, and go to Channel 4's website, you can see the story for yourself, is that it's some really disturbing stuff.
Mhm.
And it was building for years. And so the conversation, as the left and the media wanted to immediately make it about the guns, as opposed to saying, wait a minute, something went wrong at several different steps of the way, and there's a chance this could have been prevented. Now, the fault of this is by the shooter.
Absolutely.
He is the one responsible for this.
Yeah.
The school district, in their social justice warriory, woke, anti-police, we don't want children to be uncomfortable by looking at armed guards in the Black community, which is what they said.
That's what they said.
That's
was the
literally
reasoning.
what they said, is
Mhm.
that, basically the Black community doesn't like, police or armed, and it's going to make children uncomfortable to see armed police and security.
Yeah.
So they got rid of it, and it left a very soft target.
Mhm.
And so they should be held accountable for that. But let's be fair. The shooter is the one who is responsible, but the school district fell down on the job when it comes to doing things that could have made it more difficult to get to those students and the teachers.
And what about the lack of reaction to I hate to say red flags, but basically the red flags that his family was flying? They talked to authorities, right? I
Mhm.
thought they told somebody in authority with uniforms and titles and all these other things and access to resources that this guy needs help.
Yeah, please take these guns away.
So what happened? What was supposed to happen? Was there supposed to be some sort of adjudication of his fitness or the need for him to be committed maybe someplace? It's like whatever was supposed to happen didn't happen.
Right.
And
exactly.
that's the I think something that needs to be explored and is often completely overlooked in these sorts of discussions.
Yeah, because it gets into the shadow of the current political issues.
That's true.
And that's really
That's
what
true.
happened. All right, got some thoughts on it. 314-912-1019. In another grisly case in Texas, did you see this? There was a doctor at a hospital that said, no, we're not mutilating children for the gender stuff.
Mhm.
And he finds out, yeah, they are.
Mm-hmm.
He's a whistleblower. He's now federally indicted for his whistleblowing.
So crazy.
So I'll tell you what's being argued here. You tell me what you think. That's just ahead here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
Indifference. Stop it right now.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up, get up.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Whether you want to believe it or not, there are terrorists at our southern border. We'll talk to national security expert Charles Marino Wednesday at 9:05. And we'll celebrate like Juneteenth, I guess.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Caring for a loved one is stressful. It's an emotional time, and we want our loved ones to get the quality of care they deserve. But the cost of long-term care is expensive. In the St. Louis area, it could be $60,000, $70,000, or even over $100,000. Can your savings handle this added expense? Fortunately, News Talk STL listeners have an expert right here. Financial strategist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management shows families tax-efficient strategies to fund care needs. Whether planning in advance, have health concerns, or living in a care community today, solutions exist to fund the quality of care you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Visit SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors.
Think about it. How prepared are you for the unexpected? Emergencies strike without warning, and we all know something big will be thrown at us soon. Being prepared makes all the difference. This means having a reliable food supply stored to use during tougher times. That's why at My Patriot Supply, we sell thousands of our 4-week emergency food kits every week. Each kit is packed with delicious, easy-to-prepare meals that provide over 2,000 calories per day. These kits are designed to stand by for up to 25 years, ready to use when you need them most. This week, save $50 on every 4-week emergency food kit you need. Simply go to mypatriotsupply.com and secure one for each family member. That's $50 off every 4-week emergency food kit. Order by 3 p.m. and your kit's shipped that same day. It's better to have emergency food than to need it and not have it. Shop mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
Columbo and Katie.
When asked what he'd say to voters that are worried about his age, Joe Biden said, "Watch me." It's always, I tell him, just watch me.
We've been watching.
Yeah, we've been watching. It's bad, buddy.
We've been watching.
You got it.
Stumbling.
Yeah, you got to.
Falling upstairs.
They put the kids' steps out. They put the kiddie steps out for you on Air Force One, bro.
We got the non-slick shoes going on. I'm watching.
It's not good.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income. If you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL. Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
All right, try to predict kids get targeted by the leftist powers that be. That's where we're at in society.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, speaking of the Mike's morning music playlist, hey, it's Wednesday, which means it's Flashback Friday in just a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't already, get your request in this week for 80s bump music. Jay Monty's already sent in a couple ones.
Got him.
Made some good choices.
Good.
Including Motley Crue. I'm never going to complain about that. Just saying.
Yep. So time's running short. Get your requests in. You can do it online if you'd like, or send an email to me, STEL at newstalkstl.com, or to Mike at MIKE.
Yeah, either way. Or like I said, on Facebook comments or Rumble, chat box, or anything like that. We'll get those in. Have you getting some requests in already?
Yeah, I got about 5 new ones yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we had Jay Monty. We're up to about 7 requests.
All right, so we still have room for some others, and of course, I don't know if Stell's going to accept those. I mean, he may have looked at those and went, "Nope, not that one." All right, so send him in. Okay, get this. There's a doctor named Ethan Haim, and he was a resident of Baylor College of Medicine, and he's now facing federal indictment. So here's what's going on. He's a surgeon, and previously he worked at the Texas Children's Hospital as part of his residency. And so the indictment against him says that last year he reactivated his login at that hospital, the Children's Hospital, to get information on pediatric patients. Now, they were not his patients, but he accessed other patients, looking at their information and treatment codes in order to confirm that hospital was in fact doing the so-called gender surgeries on it.
Minors.
I can't, on minors, on children. Here's the thing is I can't even, I refuse to adopt the left's language on this.
Right.
When they say gender affirming care, it's one of the most damnable lies that you are hearing from media, both here in St. Louis and around the country. And even some of the conservative media is now adopting that.
Yeah.
And it is an absolute misappropriation of word. It's
a complete inversion of the truth.
It
really
absolutely horrible. It is evil and demonic to call the castration of young boys, the double mastectomies of healthy breast tissue from young girls,
and the chemical poisoning.
Yes, to call that gender affirming care is not a difference of opinion. This is evil, 100% evil when the people are trying to push this. And so that's why it's, I'll have a conversation with anybody, but let me tell you that if you and I are having coffee and you're saying, Mike, hear me out on this, I will hear you out, but understand I have no problem looking you in the eye and saying your worldview, what you're promoting is absolute evil from the deepest pits of Hades.
Absolutely.
That is where this is coming from. So anyway, Dr. Haim confirms that the Sept. Now, this was actually legal at the time in Texas, but the hospital had said, okay, we're not doing it. Well, it turns out they were doing it. So he hands over some of that information to conservative journalists. I think it was Chris Rufo. That's who he handed it over to. So the fact of the matter is that he did hand over a patient's information outside of the medical community. So he actually did break the rules.
Sure.
And so the person that he handed, I guess I think it was Rufo that he handed it over to, but they published the story about the hospital was providing these mutilative procedures on minors in secret. Yeah. But the hospital had said like a year before, now we stopped doing that. Get off our back. We're not doing it. But it turns out that it was doing it.
They were continuing to do so.
Yeah. And then in 2023, it became illegal to do this. And so
were any of the documents covering treatment post making it illegal?
No.
Okay.
No, this was all while it was legal.
Okay.
But it was after the hospital had made a statement and said, we aren't doing it anymore.
Right.
And so that law is being challenged in court, as you probably know. So this doctor being indicted for basically they're going after him for the patient privacy issue. Now, first of all, that's not a federal issue.
Right.
That's a state issue. He did violate the rules.
Sure.
He did access the information for patients who were not his patients. And they claim that that included identifiable information, as it was not just in the aggregate. It was not just,
Sure.
there was probably a
well,
name
yeah.
in there.
Well, the thing is, you would need kind of individual case files because the hospitals don't necessarily take aggregate, information and distill it for you.
So what you have here is a whistleblower, and this blew up. I mean, that's like there was a whistleblower at the University of the Tennessee hospital as well.
Right.
I mean, so there were whistleblowers that blew this up in St. Louis right here at the St. Louis, Washington University pediatric transgender clinic, which is just an abomination of anything. It was that whistleblower who let us know what was happening here. So the whistleblowers tipped us off on all of this. And this doctor probably knew very, very well he was likely to face charges, and he very well could lose his medical license over this.
Yeah.
So here are the questions. One, did he commit a violation? It looks like he did.
Yes, I would actually say yes.
Was it worth it, and should he have done it knowing he was breaking the rules?
Yes. I think. Well, let's. And I use this analogy on Twitter. Well, what if a doctor found out what was going on in the Tuskegee experiments? He accessed the files for the men who were involved in Tuskegee experiment who were not his patients, and he released that information to the public in some way, shape, or form, maybe through the media or what have you. And then the federal government goes after him for violating, medical privacy, stuff, rules or something like that. You would say, "Oh my gosh, why are you going after this guy, this heroic individual?" That's how we would look at it today. We would look back at the federal government going after that guy as, oh my gosh, what sort of oppression that's being executed against a guy who's simply trying to protect people from the excesses of the medical
I guess in a similar vein, you could look at the exposés that were done on some of the asylums.
Oh yeah,
and just horrific, inhumane, conditions.
Yep,
that were there at that time.
They violated medical privacy, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a HIPAA law at the time, but there were standard practices.
Yeah, we had lobotomies going on.
Oh,
and
yeah.
things like that.
And just
shock
like
therapies,
basic shock therapies, aging people, malnutrition, all the things that were happening to very vulnerable people. On Rumble, Ed says breaking the rules for the greater good is okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And in this case, there's a lot of people. I mean, that may have led to expediting the process of Texas making it illegal. But the fact of the matter is that he did violate his patients, or not his, but some patients' privacy. And I get that. So you've got a situation where you've got a guy who probably said, this could very well cost me my career. This could cost me everything, but I'm going to do it anyway. And now the feds, the Biden administration, is indicting him.
Man, it's It would be nice if federal law enforcement agencies were employed to go after actual criminals. People who are violating laws that for which there is no moral qualms about. I recently saw somebody talking about how expensive and costly and dangerous it would be to try and deport so many illegal aliens. I was like, well, it probably wouldn't be that expensive if we simply reappropriated all of the federal agents who are going after regular American citizens for being conservative, and you focus them on going after illegals. But that's where we are right now. We're in this really strange world where the left is actually controlling our military, not military, but our criminal apparatus.
Yeah,
and it's a rough place.
In this case right here, I do think that this doctor did a really heroic and brave thing.
Absolutely. Yes.
Now the consequences of that,
they're going to be what they're going to be.
Maybe a loss of his career that he studied to, for all these years. Maybe that's the case. But the reality is that we've got an evil that is so horrible, so dark, so just awful that we have to be able to put a stop to it. He knew it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
He confirmed it. For whatever reason, the powers that be weren't going to stop it because it was legal at the time.
Yep.
And then he turned it over to somebody who was going to have an impact. Would I be angry if somebody turned over my personal medical information to a journalist? I would be mad.
Sure.
But then again, in this case, the parents should be ashamed. And I think, frankly, they should be outed for what they did to their child if they haven't already in Texas.
What knowing parents do to their children in regards to all this gender confusion stuff, I think should be criminal.
Oh, absolutely. Without a question.
It's abuse.
Yeah.
If you just, even if you got somebody who has medical knowledge to give your child various forms of poisons, you're still poisoning your child.
Right.
And you hired them to do it.
Once somebody becomes an adult and they want to mess themselves up, hey, I'll fight for your right to do that.
Absolutely.
But just like you don't have a right to punch your child in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a right to say, yes, we're going to inject you with these poisons, with these chemicals. I consent to perfectly healthy body parts being mutilated off of you.
So crazy.
No, that's you don't have that right. You don't have that right to abuse, and disfigure children.
Right.
Just that simple. All right. Another big league sports team, two of them actually being lured, being enticed out of the show me state. So now there's pressure on the governor. There's pressure on the legislature. Do something, compete for them. Should they? Because the arguments that are going to be made in Kansas City are soon to be made in St. Louis when they try to get another football team or get a basketball team or something along those lines.
Yeah, here come the high dollar carrots.
Here they come. Let's talk to Patrick Touhey, the Show Me Institute, about that just ahead here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Summer officially begins tomorrow, but our local weather pattern continues to have summer written all over it. Heat and humidity in control today, up to 94 this afternoon. Top heat index at about 97. An isolated shower or storm possible this afternoon and early this evening, but emphasis on isolated. A little hotter tomorrow after a low tonight of 76. Thursday's high 96. And then we hit 99 both Friday and Saturday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Shane.
Jim Jones here with Dr. Pat Fader of Comprehensive Chiropractic. Doc, I hear you all have a new treatment program for everyone's chronic knee pain.
Tim, that's right. We are helping patients with chronic knee pain by addressing the root cause of their condition.
And what makes your program so unique?
Well, Tim, many programs focus on just one component of the problem, the structural component. Our program focuses on the metabolic and neurological component to complete the picture and improve our patients' outcomes. We get to the root cause of what is driving inflammation in a person's body and address it directly.
For your chronic knee pain and more, visit cchiropractic.com. All information, make an appointment at cchiropractic.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
There is no good news in Mudville for Joe Biden when it comes to black voters. I've got several instances that back that statement up. First Politico, a left-leaning organization, stating prominent black officials are worried the Biden campaign is failing. In fact, one is a member of the Congressional Black Caucus and said, I'm in a battleground state. I know what has and hasn't been done. And then you turn to CNN and one of their analysts saying, look at black voters under the age of 50. Holy cow, look at this. Joe Biden was up 80 points among this group at this point in 2020. Now he's down to 37 points. You want another source? New York Times stating many black voters are unhappy with Biden. And they talk about their latest survey showing Trump leading Biden by 10 points in Nevada, 6 in Georgia, 5 in both Arizona and Michigan, 4 in Pennsylvania. Biden won all of those states in 2020. So how bad is it? Well, Sunday, David Axelrod, the same one, the Obama advisor, he suggested it might be wise for Biden to drop out of the race.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Columbo here for the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Summertime in St. Louis means things like family gatherings, barbecues, and graduation parties, and Zero Res knows how important it is to have your home as clean and healthy as possible for your friends and family, so they're kicking off summer with an amazing offer. Book a cleaning in June and mention the Columbo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. Just mention the Columbo special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Tim Jones here. I'm with Eric from Newsteaders. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Eric, Newsteaders has been around since 1961. Tell us the story.
Well, Richard started this 62 years ago, and we've stayed a local family-owned store since then. We've actually got 3 generations of Newsteaders working in the store. Richard, his wife, his daughter, and his granddaughter, and we all love what we do. We're kind of a St. Louis family tradition, and we do a lot of unique and one-of-a-kind custom pieces, as well as repairs. There's basically nothing that we can't do, and all of our work is done on site, so you can feel secure knowing that your jewelry never leaves, which is unusual now. And we can computer generate images of custom pieces if you want to go custom. We can take that old jewelry that you're not wearing, and we can turn that into something new that you absolutely love.
Newsteaders, a St. Louis jewelry tradition since 1961. Stop by and find out why. 2961 Daughtery Ferry Road, or on the internet, wowdiamonds.com for Newsteaders Fine Jewelers.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Like Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
I'll be the
All right, Kansas lawmakers want to entice the Chiefs and the Royals away from the Show Me State. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars are already involved, at least in the proposal on the Kansas side. Economic development, corporate welfare, and the reason I'm bringing this up here, yes, it does affect, obviously, Missouri and, the half of the News Talk STL listening area that's on the Missouri side of things. But don't think for a minute that whatever arguments that are going to be made on the Kansas side and in the Kansas City area, don't think for a minute those won't be made here the next time the Cardinals say, well, we're going to have new stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So, this one's ready to be replaced in 10, 15, 20, 25 years. Next time somebody says, boy, we'd really like to get an NBA team. Maybe we want an NFL team, but boy, these old facilities won't do. We've got to build a stadium to be competitive. Economic development.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Don't think for a minute that what they're talking about over there is not going to happen over here as well. Don't forget, News Talk STL, we are teaming up with the Heritage Foundation next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. It's called Saving America, the economy and the courts, or the courts and the economy, with our friends from the Heritage Foundation. Going to be at the Funny Bone in St. Charles, in the streets of St. Charles. And we would love to have you there. We're going to be there. Love to hang out with you, but you got to get your tickets. It's a free event. Just go to newstalkstl.com and reserve your tickets. Limited space, so we've got limited tickets, but go ahead and make sure that you're there this coming Tuesday. All right, joined now by Patrick Touhey from the Show Me Institute. Patrick, okay, let's first lay the groundwork on a couple things. One, what is it that the Kansas legislature is at least proposing now or working on proposing? And secondly, you and your counterparts from the Kansas Policy Institute actually working together, basically saying, hey, knock it off. This isn't good for that region. And I know a lot of people will say, well, why is somebody from Kansas opposing trying to attract these major league teams over to Kansas? But it's on principle.
Yeah, it is on principle. And good morning. Basically, what happened in April 2, as your listeners will remember, is that Jackson County rejected a sales tax to fund Chiefs Stadium and Royals' new stadium downtown. And in the intervening months, Kansas has been working to come up with a package to lure them across state line to Kansas. Now, Kansas subsidies work different than Missouri subsidies. The biggest subsidy that Kansas offers is Star Bond, state or sales tax and revenue. And basically, a municipality issues the Star Bond, but it looks very similar to what happens in other places. It vacuums up all the taxes generated by a particular location and returns those to pay off the bondholders. We don't really know much more about that. The reporting out of the Kansas City Star says that the package would cover 70% of construction. That still leaves quite a bit left over for the Chiefs and Royals to pitch in, more than I think they were willing to pitch in when we were talking to them in Missouri. And then the biggest exposure for the taxpayers of Kansas is that if the site does not generate enough money to reimburse the bondholders, what happens? Proponents of the legislation say, well, then bondholders just take the loss. But that's not credible. What has happened, certainly in Missouri, and what could happen in Kansas, is that there is so much pressure to bail out the bondholders because the state doesn't want to either get a bad credit rating or it doesn't want future Star bonds to be for people to be hesitant to buy them. So again, it's kind of murky where we're going, but basically, to sum it up, Kansas has entered the chat, and this is exactly what any team would want: two suitors, and so the prices have just gone up like an auction.
Morning, Patrick. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So one idea I've heard floated is that any of these tax abatements that are usually in response to whatever presumed economic activity is going to come from these things would be delayed until the stadium owner or whoever the owners could prove that they actually did produce that sort of economic activity. Basically, instead of the money up front for a presumed outcome, you get the outcome first, and it has to be proven, and then you get the tax benefit later on. Have you heard anything like that show up anywhere actually in the country?
That's kind of like what the entertainment film tax credit is on the Missouri side. They claim that you have to show the benefits and then give them the receipts, which is, we already got rid of that program once and then they brought it back this year. But anyway, Patrick, yeah, that any update or any similarities there?
If these were two negotiations between private companies who are using their own money, that is exactly what I would expect. But that is not the case here. These are people spending tax dollars. They have no interest in complicating the issue. And because it's political, and we saw this in Kansas City a few months ago, and again, you've seen it in St. Louis as well, anytime you try to hold a hard line negotiating with a sports team, they immediately go to the fans. They're like, oh, you're trying to chase us out. We're going to go to Nashville. So it's not likely that a state or a municipality will ever be able to craft a kind of hard-nosed good deal with a team because of the nature of politics. But if, again, as you described, these were two private interests spending their own money, we would absolutely get better deals. But that's just not the case here. So I don't expect it would be great if we demonstrated or forced recipients of subsidies to demonstrate in a meaningful way their economic benefit. I just can't imagine it ever happening.
You mentioned the use of fan pressure to sort of create a political movement behind these sorts of things. Is there any advocate for the average taxpayer in the conversation at all?
Well, there doesn't seem to be in the legislature itself, the Kansas legislature. Now, I read the Star story this morning, and there were a few people who were skeptical. But what they probably think is we're not committing to anything just yet. Right now, we're just putting forth a proposal. So really, there's no risk. But again, if people care to read the research, there is no economic benefit. You're just giving a bunch of money to very wealthy team owners. You don't get anything for it. But that having the stadium, people see it. It wasn't there before. It's there now. They think that means something. They think all that commerce means something when the numbers tell us really nothing is happening.
Yeah, and where that voice you're hearing is Patrick Touhey from the Show Me Institute, and that's what I wanted to follow up with, Patrick. Is people will say, "Well, what are you talking about?" Of course, it's economic development. Look at this. There's a stadium that was built. Look at all those people who are working there. They weren't in Kansas in this case before. Look at this. They're selling a lot of beer. Look at all these jerseys. Now the sales tax is going to Wyandotte County in the state of Kansas. Look at what Missouri lost. It's a big you have to compete for it. I mean, it's a very easy emotional sell on the top line level. It's when you get into, what the Heartland Institute found years and years ago, what you at the Show Me Institute have found, what, all these others have found. How do we message that to say, because nobody wants to lose a team. It's not even just economics. It's part of your community pride. And so they say, how you can't let them go. You can't let the Chiefs go. They're the world champions. You can't let the, the Royals go. They were champions a decade ago. We can't, you can't let them go. That's a part of us. How dare you? Don't be the politician who lets them go. And it's more of an emotional pitch than it is an economic pitch in a lot of ways.
Well, no, that's exactly right. They don't want to make the economic pitch because the economics just aren't on their side. Now, around the country, Tempe, Arizona rejected the deal. Of course, Jackson County did. The legislature in Virginia rejected the deal to bring the Washington teams across their border. So I think social media, the slow education of people over time. I think in Jackson County's case, frankly, the Chiefs and Royals ran such an awful campaign that, to be very honest, it's the yes side lost it more than the no side won it. But it takes the slow education of people over time to understand that the crowds they are seeing, one, are not new spending. It's just different spending. Those people would have been at a movie theater or, playing mini golf or something like that. And that all those taxes that are generated at the site go back to the owners to pay for the stadium, or the bondholders in Kansas's case, to pay for the stadium. That there is no net benefit. But again, whether it comes to economic development downtown or entertainment districts, or TIF projects along the floodplain there, it does take some time to explain to people that, there are costs to these things. There's no such thing as a free lunch.
Good morning, Patrick. Stal Pontica is here. It seems as though there's been an undercurrent just a bit from folks who are familiar with those stadiums in Kansas City that maybe they're too old. And a lot of folks say, hey, these stadiums are still pretty nice. We had a listener on Rumble comment about how old is old when you've got Wrigley Field and Fenway Park.
Yeah.
And yet in other cities like Baltimore, where Camden Yards were built, I can see where a new field is perfectly fine. But Kansas City seems to be okay. What are your thoughts regarding making?
It's a nice stadium.
Yeah,
it's fun to watch a game there.
Indeed.
Yeah. And Kauffman Stadium, the Royal Stadium in Kansas City, is always rated, 12th to 14th best in the country. Look, team owners will use any argument to win. That's really it. If they think that the local population will buy the concrete cancer argument, they will use it. If they think that the local population will buy the, economic development, or we're going to leave, they will use any argument they think will win. From their point of view, this is a business negotiation. They absolutely want more people fighting over them. They absolutely will make any argument they can, no matter how credible, to get more money out of taxpayers' pockets. So, and this is nothing new. We've seen this for decades now in the United States. It's up to the population in each place, or the legislature or the legislative body, to be more thoughtful. But if you negotiate from a position of fear, they're gonna win every time.
Is it too simplistic, Patrick, to say, well, what we're talking about is welfare for billionaires to build their field where millionaires are going to play? I mean, that's
play a game.
Yeah. I mean, is that too simplistic of an argument as to why this is a ludicrous idea? I mean, listen, if a billionaire wants to build a $800, $900 million stadium, and they want to pay for it themselves. Have at it, man. If you move across the state line, good for you. If that's what you want, that's the free market. But when we're talking about this and government getting involved and playing each side against each other, like you're saying, which is exactly what's happening, can we boil it down to something as simplistic as to saying corporate welfare for billionaires to build their stadium so they can house millionaires playing a game?
Yes, that is exactly what it is. There is no public return for this investment of public dollars. And I don't know if there's a word worse than welfare, but these people aren't using it for food and shelter, right? They're not using it for rent and bus fare. They're using it for even more luxuries. So if welfare just gives people the staples, even if they might abuse the system, these subsidies are even more shallow than welfare because we are just making wealthy people even more fantastically wealthy. And you're aware of the research that says the more subsidies you give a stadium, it doesn't affect the average family's experience. All that money goes into gold plating the VIP boxes and providing a nicer experience for the super wealthy. So this is, it's crazy. I mean, I wouldn't believe it if it weren't for the fact that it happens so often.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time that a team that actually privately owned its own stadium moved in the country.
Well, so that's something that we've got to learn, because I understand that star bonds in Kansas cannot be used for public property. So the teams would be required to own whatever stadia they build in Kansas, and that is different than in Missouri.
Oh, okay.
They may still get a tax abatement, but as we have learned, team owners do not want to own the stadium because that just becomes an albatross when they want to pick up and move.
Yeah, and so they would, the way you describe that is that, whatever economic activity, they collect all the taxes, but then they just basically get a refund check. So taxpayers are paying them back to build their own stadium, which it turns out they would own in the first place. So it's publicly funding the stadium by another name.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And the kick in the teeth is that such a stadium incurs additional costs like public infrastructure and public safety, and of course, the teams aren't paying taxes that go to that. Those costs come from other people's taxes. So it's kind of a double. Not only are they getting something for free, but you've got to pay for all the excess costs.
All right. Patrick Touhey from the Show Me Institute. We've tagged you on our social media. People want to follow your work. They get in touch. How?
Well, they can find me at showmeinstitute.org. That's the best place to find all of us, frankly.
All right, Patrick. Good talk to you again. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Patrick.
Take care.
Hey, I like a good ball game too, but this just ticks me off. I just can't stand it when the billionaires are like, well, you're going to have to help me pay for the stadium for my private business where we probably have $1 million of revenue per game.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Well, it's a drug problem. They're all hooked on OPM, other people's money.
Heck yeah. All right. We're going to have a few minutes when we come back here. The internet asked for a list of the most annoying things that people do in the airport and on planes.
Okay.
You have a list?
Easily.
I'll tell you some of what they found. Let's compare it to yours right here. 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
The music guys and sing. They make the children really ring.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Dreaming of upgrading your outdoor space? STL FenceWorks is the choice for you. Our skilled craftsmen build custom fences from modern vinyl to classic ornamental, fitting your style and budget. Elevate your outdoor living with low-maintenance decks designed to relax and entertain. We choose only top-quality American-made materials, ensuring your project is built to last. Your satisfaction is our passion. With over 50 years of experience, custom designs, and exceptional customer service, visit stlfenceworks.com today.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Are you concerned about the future of America, the economy, the courts, threats to our freedoms? Tim Jones here. Join News Talk STL for Saving America 2024, June 25th at the St. Charles Funny Bone. Hear from renowned experts Joel Griffith and Zach Smith of the Heritage Foundation as they analyze the critical issues facing our nation and provide insight into securing America's prosperity. Secure your tickets now at newstalkstl.com before they sell out.
Brought to you by West and Mid-Rivers News Magazines and the St. Louis Young Republicans. Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michael's Flooring Outlet. Michael's Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michael's to rip up their old carpet and replace it. They are both happy with the product and installation from Michael's. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peter's, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Well, it started out down a dirty
All right, what are the worst things people do on the airports or on the planes? The internet asked the question. I've got the list. We'll see how it compares to the things that annoy you when you're flying. News Talk STL's podcasts are on-demand listening. Be sure to subscribe to that, and it's really easy to share. Like, we had that conversation about the draft the other day.
Right.
If you haven't subscribed, or subscribe, or just go to newstalkstl.com and you can find it without subscribing. Put that up on your social media. I'm curious what people think. I think that's a good discussion to have.
Absolutely, because there are solid points on both sides of that argument.
Yeah. All right, another survey on the internet here. By the way, at 8:05, today is Juneteenth.
It is.
It's actually the holiday that makes some people mad that it's a holiday.
Yeah, it's interesting. Usually, everybody's happy to have the day off, but
well, for those who do,
who do,
yeah. But just the idea of it. So 8:05. Let's talk about that. All right, what do you think are some of the, according to the survey here, are some of the most annoying things people do at the airport or on the plane when you're traveling? You just irritate the crap out of other people. It's just rude, What do you think?
I have one.
What's that?
And it's not the fault of the passenger, but snoring drives me nuts.
Snoring on the plane.
Snoring, especially when it's loud.
Is
that on the list?
That is
might not be.
Not on the list.
I'm shocked.
But that's but you know what is on the list though? Number 4, farting.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, now technically, again, it may not be your fault necessarily, but hey, one of mine, keep your friggin' socks on.
Okay, that's actually on the list.
Yes.
That is, let's see here, going barefoot, number 14.
Okay, I will give you that your shoes hurt your feet, and you want to be comfortable on the airplane as much as you can in those tiny little seats. You can take your shoes off, but keep your freaking socks on.
And airplane floors are gross. I would not want to do that.
Yeah, trimming nails.
Yeah. Oh my
I've
gosh.
seen that too.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
All right. I've got the whole list. Let's do this around, say, 8:35.
Yeah, let's revisit this.
Send me your list of the most annoying things people do on social media. Let's compare notes, because some of these are like, people do that? What the heck?
Boom Shack Fireworks in Pacific. Rock bottom prices. Take a look at boomshackfireworks.com. Boom Shack Fireworks in Pacific. Plus 15% off everything through June 23rd. Boomshackfireworks.com.
To all our incredible supporters, we at the David Dorn Foundation say thank you. Your 5-star online reviews that you recently posted are beacons of encouragement on our mission to assist first responders. And a shout out to Steve Katraba, who reviewed us with these powerful words. The Dorn Foundation continues to fill a need in the public safety community and thereby to the public. Steve, your words are more than a review. They show the impact we're making for first responders. To read more strong reviews, Google the Dorn Foundation now.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue. And after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Feel the sizzling heat of summer savings at Seidenstricker Novi Partners. Rev up your summer on a John Deere compact tractor with 0% financing for 84 months with zero down. Or get 0% financing for 60 months with additional savings. It's time to elevate your equipment game. Don't let this sizzling hot deal slip away. Seidenstricker Novi, your partner for the land.
Offer valid through 7/26/2024. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Tim Jones here, inviting you to join the Veterans Committee of the Eureka Pacific Elks Lodge 2644 as they host a cornhole tournament and BB gun shoot at the lodge on Saturday, June 22nd. For more information, visit eurekapacificelks.org.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. High heat and humidity remain in the forecast for millions of people from the Great Lakes to the Mid-Atlantic to the Northeast. Mark Chenard is at the National Weather Service.
Today we're looking at high temperatures around 95 in Detroit. Even central and northern Maine looking to be in the mid-90s today. And then as we head into the day Thursday, looking around 92 in Boston, 96 in Hartford. Then by Friday, we're up to 98 in Philadelphia. And on Saturday, up to 98 in D.C.
National Guard troops have been called to assist with wildfire evacuations in southern New Mexico. More than 500 structures have been damaged or destroyed, and authorities report at least one death. In California, new wildfires have popped up east of San Francisco and in the northern Central Valley. Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un signed a new partnership deal. That includes a vow of mutual aid if either country is attacked.
Putin's visit comes amid growing concerns over an arms arrangement in which North Korea provides Russia with badly needed munitions for Moscow's war in Ukraine in exchange for economic assistance and technology transfers that could enhance the threat posed by Kim's nuclear weapons and missile program. The North is under heavy UN Security Council sanctions over its weapons program, while Russia also faces sanctions by the US and its Western partners over its aggression in Ukraine. I'm Charles Tilledesma.
A new Biden administration policy will give roughly 500,000 undocumented immigrants who are married to American citizens a pathway to citizenship for them and their children. Republicans are criticizing the plan. Some of them call it mass amnesty. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The tech, big government, and the progressives have done everything they can to silence truth and sanity, but there is a secret weapon out there that they cannot touch. 1 year ago, a new digital streaming platform, the Real Life Network, was launched to provide a desperate world with much-needed programming free from the overreach and interference of government and media. The explosive growth they have seen speaks for itself. In one short year, more than 100 programmers have jumped on board to provide all kinds of content. I'm proud to be among them, as you can find the Dennis Prager Show and several of my interviews on Real Life Network. And get this, over 30 million minutes of programs that are free from the influence of secular agendas have been viewed. Real Life Network can change your life, and it's free. Sign up now at reallifenetwork.com and receive a free digital download of Countdown, a book from Real Life Network founder, Pastor Jack Hibbs.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Summer officially begins tomorrow, but our local weather pattern continues to have summer written all over it. Heat and humidity in control today, up to 94 this afternoon. Top heat index at about 97. An isolated shower or storm possible this afternoon and early this evening, but emphasis on isolated. A little hotter tomorrow after a low tonight of 76. Thursday's high 96. And then we hit 99 both Friday and Saturday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Does your life insurance plan include living benefits, hearing, diabetic supplies, teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones? Larry Connors here. I suggest you call Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Call 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Can't you hear the alarm?
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, we're cooking up something a lot of fun for next week.
We're having too much fun off air.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
As they say.
All right. 8:05 right now. Today is actually a holiday.
It is.
I don't know if you guys, it's kind of funny because Gabe comes in.
Yeah.
prior to his first cup of coffee.
Totally unscripted.
And I said, it's a holiday. And you looked at me like, what are you talking about?
And then I looked down at my computer to look at the date. I was like, it's the June 19th. Oh,
Juneteenth.
Juneteenth.
And I'm here slack jawed like, dude.
Isn't it supposed to be your? It's not. I'm not from the South. I'm from New York. We didn't celebrate Juneteenth.
Okay, so here's the thing: is today is actually a federal holiday.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was signed into law to become an actual federally recognized holiday 4 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that.
Was it during the Trump administration?
No, it was no, I guess it was during Biden. So it'd been 3 years ago.
Yeah, it would have been.
I think it's 3 years because there's like a list of 10 official holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Something got bumped off, and this is now in place of it. I think it might have been like Columbus Day or something.
Yeah, it was probably Columbus. Yeah. Actually, I think that was part of the deal was because the left has a problem with Columbus Day. And they wanted to put yes,
it's like an off-season trade.
That's trade. Right. Yeah, and it very much fits in with the contentious ideas behind the left's push recently, I think, for this holiday.
Okay, so Juneteenth is one of those where it's like there's a debate and discussion over Juneteenth. So 314-912-1019. I know we've gotten a lot of comments on this as well. There is the actual, I guess, sort of denotative, here's what the holiday is all about. And then there's the connotative, how people take it.
Yes.
And if anybody thinks, oh, nobody's all worked up over Juneteenth, look at any announcement that says Happy Juneteenth on social. I just saw the one with the St. Louis Cardinals that said St. Louis Cardinals celebrate Juneteenth. And it's got, a Juneteenth flag. 200 and some odd comments. Underneath it. Look at Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 2, USA Today, CNN, Fox News, whatever. Anybody who has a story about Juneteenth or something that says Happy Juneteenth, just look at the comments and you will see that there are still a lot of people who have a big problem with this. So
now, would you say maybe 50% negative or even more?
I think it depends on where you are.
That's good. Good point.
That's where it
good
is.
Point.
Okay, so for instance, let's look at the actual definitive look at Juneteenth.
Sure. What it is.
What it actually is. I have absolutely no issue with this being a federal holiday at all. And when I say that, and there's somebody went, oh, Ferguson went woke. I'm like, it's not woke. It's an actual line of demarcation in our history celebrating the word getting to the last state, the last area of the country that still did not officially know the Civil War was over and that the slaves had been set free, through not just the Emancipation Proclamation, but the victory in the Civil War.
It was the last of, real emancipation of slaves in America. It was the last slave in America was freed on June 19th, essentially. Or
June of 1865, I think
something like that. Yeah.
And so that's what it recognizes. It's a symbolic, thing to say this was the last. So as a concept, I'm like, okay, that was a pivotal moment, finishing a pivotal moment in our country's history. celebrating that or reflecting on it. Not all holidays are celebratory. You know, this
Memorial Day isn't
right.
supposed to be at least celebratory in that same way as 4th of July.
So Juneteenth is one that could be both reflective and celebratory.
Sure,
I mean,
yeah,
there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But then let's actually get to the context and the connotation of what it is now. And it is something that the left has tried to claim as part of, you know, the racial divisions and the racial, what's the word I'm looking for? The racial box checking.
Yes.
You know, this is ours.
Yes.
You know, you don't have a right to comment on it. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that it should be, something like this should be designed to get rid of.
Right.
I mean,
you think we could all celebrate together that, hey, on this day, America ceased to have slavery, and we'll never again. Like that's a great thing that America should celebrate, because it's the promise of the Constitution being writ large on the lives of actual people. That's the type of thing. And really, and I made this argument before, it's the most Republican of holidays ever.
Okay, so let's follow up on that, because what's happened if somebody sees Juneteenth, the connotative is that somebody just assumes, oh, there you go, there's a left winger, you know, celebrating your Pan-African colors. Okay,
right,
you know,
exactly.
that's what it's become, because it's getting lumped in with, well, if you celebrate Juneteenth, that must mean that you're on board with Black Lives Matter. That must mean you're on board with Black History Month. That must mean you're on board with I don't know, Kwanzaa or whatever the case is.
You're one of the race hustlers.
You're one of those, and it's unfortunate because Juneteenth could be the one truly legitimate one.
Yeah. Well, and truly legitimate, like I say, Republican holiday. We're celebrating the final victory of the Republican president's war over the slavery supporting Democrats. That's really what. Every time the Civil War comes up, I don't know why Republicans kind of shy away from this. That was our biggest triumph ever. The first Republican president arguing for decades about the whole idea of emancipation, actually making it happen through, paid for by the blood of patriots for the Union. That should be the biggest Republican holiday. It's like, you know what? I'm going to take that. Thank you.
So when somebody says Juneteenth, well, you must be woke. You know, I mean, for instance, the former president of the Heritage Foundation, not Carol, Kay. Kay, shoot, what was her name? I forgot. She's retired, but she wrote an op-ed a few years ago celebrating Juneteenth. She's Black, and just kind of had some sweet memories of celebrating Juneteenth with her family when she was growing up.
She's from the South,
and the reaction was like, the reaction was like, oh, see, the Heritage Foundation's gone woke. I'm like, what? It's like the Heritage Foundation's not gone woke.
Just talking about our history. It's like, come on, man. It's like, hey, I always like the accounts of the barbecue. It was nice.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, I think it's silly for us to be so reactionary to the malfeasance of the left that we veer off away from things that could benefit us. That's really where we are right now. We cannot simply react to the left. We cannot because reacting to the left gives them the initiative. They get to dictate the terms of our conflict. And I don't think that's the smart way to go.
Yeah, Goat Lady on Rumble. Of course, she's getting the day off today because it is a holiday.
Yep.
She says, I think people are annoyed with it because it felt like pandering.
And it was.
Right. And she says, once you learn what the day is about, it's a good day to mark. Yeah. I think that's it. So can you separate out something like Juneteenth from some of the other stuff that, shouldn't have the same sort of appeal? I mean, the reality is that I don't have any issue with Juneteenth being a holiday. I don't think anybody, conservative, liberal, anything should have any problem, marking Juneteenth. Am I going to go have a Juneteenth celebration? No, I mean, it doesn't affect me. But it's not become a huge, it hasn't become like a huge, massive holiday. I mean, Memorial Day, we expect to be off work. That's not really the case with Juneteenth.
Right.
And then, of course, when you look at the public figures who are going to be marking it and having speeches and everything, a lot of times they try to adopt that into the left-right thinking and the divide.
Yeah, I would actually like the Republicans or conservatives to take the initiative in the culture war here and actually start taking stuff from the left. Because what usually happens is the left gets a hold of something, they corrupt it, and then it becomes theirs. And our reaction simply is, okay, well, I guess I can't have that anymore.
Right. And the left will totally politicize it.
And they'll totally politicize it on the way. So instead, why don't we do that? Why don't we take from them, make it our thing, and politicize it as much as we want? Look, I'll have my big stand-up of Abraham Lincoln at my Juneteenth barbecue, right? And that will be my preview of my July 4th barbecue, celebrating going further back.
Yeah. Okay. So let me also bring that up, because there have been some people, and I haven't heard as much this year. In previous years, somebody would refer to that. There was a blip there where people would call it the Black 4th of July.
Yeah.
That's gross. That is gross. That's as though you can't have both, and as though that it's like the whole national anthem thing, as though that there's one for whites or one for blacks or one for blacks and one for everybody else. That's part of, if you're the one saying, well, this is the Black 4th of July, you're part of the problem.
Absolutely. Do not let them own that, especially because, like I keep saying, it's our holiday. Oh, freedom wins.
Ruthie on Rumble. Hey, Ruthie, thanks for being a part of this. She says there's a good article on American greatness about Juneteenth being a chance to celebrate Republicans' achievements.
There you go.
So there you
That's
go.
it.
I did not know that article was there, Ruthie. Thank you for sending that info in. Well, I'll do it.
Somebody else sees it the way I do.
Well, I mean, and of course, not to risk, my clear conflict of interest here. There was a pretty popular article written in Discourse magazine 1 year ago today, saying that Juneteenth is as American as apple pie or something like that. I should know the title because the article was written by my wife.
Yeah. One Rachel Ferguson.
You can find that in Discourse magazine, just discourse whatever on the internet. You can find that.
Yet another shameless plug.
I know that's like because it was like a very popular article that made the rounds about a year ago, and I just saw that Rachel reposted that on social media. I'm like, oh yeah, that was a pretty good article, And the funny part is like there are parts of it, there are little tidbits that I'm like, I would debate that a little, that kind of stuff. But overall, I mean, Rachel is arguing, I think, what we're arguing, in that it's kind of weird being like, because I cite these articles and research, and my wife is one of those who writes these things that I would otherwise cite anyway.
Yeah. Well, you're odd. I won't say oddly, but interestingly squeamish about bringing up Rachel's.
I don't want it to be a conflict of interest. It's like,
obviously.
that sort of thing.
I think it's it's a testament to your integrity there. But
I try to.
Maybe I should take it upon myself to be Rachel's major cheerleader on this station, because absolutely.
Should I say what's coming up?
Absolutely. I was just about to say that, so I'm gonna make you say it.
You're gonna make okay.
I'm gonna make you say Rachel, this is for you.
All right. Okay. She's been invited to be on one of the podcast TV shows, podcast, but it's on video.
Yeah.
So next month she got a request to be on this show, and assuming that they've worked out the schedule, assuming nothing gets in the way, my wife is going to be interviewed for 1 hour by Vivek Ramaswamy.
On his podcast.
He reached out, and because apparently he's reading her work, and asked her to be on his show. And so, assuming that the schedule works out, which they've got it locked down, if you follow his audio podcast, one of the episodes next month is going to be a one-on-one between Vivek Ramaswamy and Rachel Ferguson.
That's so awesome.
That's happening.
And I imagine there's going to be a lot of discussion about Black Liberation Through the Marketplace, which is her book, which is also available in the News Talk STL book club.
Well done, sir.
Oh, thank you, sir. I am also a radio professional.
That's right.
So go to newstalkstl.com, news and more. I think that's right. That's right. The little drop down, and then News Talk STL book club.
And what they're going to be talking about is using the free market to have urban renewal, to renew inner cities. Why the free market should be used for that. So this is right up both of their alleys.
Oh yeah.
So that's happening next month, and she may be mad at me for announcing that, and Ramaswamy may be mad at me for announcing that because they haven't announced it yet.
We might have stolen their thunder a little bit, but come on, proud husband right there.
Yeah, it is. All right, let's do dump some news on you here. Right around 8:21. Got some thoughts on this with Juneteenth. I think it's just kind of tragic that we politicized it. Can't we just get like we do with every other holiday and just water it down with sales at the grocery store.
And barbecue.
And that's right.
And buy fireworks.
Yeah, seriously.
Fireworks, that's right.
Why not?
Sunday, fireworks. 3 for 1. You blow off 3 fingers, we'll blow off the 4th one for you. For free.
You look for some answers, for false impressions, well, baby, they will last forever. Stop it right now!
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
Stop it right now! You're gonna blow us all away.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, get up!
News, analysis, opinion.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. The sense that he hadn't shown up for debate.
We have long been saying President Trump is ready to do this.
Make my day, pal.
Here's what he's saying to Israel. Let me run the war for you. Here's my advice to Israel. Don't.
This trial is more about our politics than it does about our alleged crime.
This is nothing more than election interference at its finest.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number 1.
For conservative talk.
News Talk STL and newstalkstl.com.
All right. Sometimes you just got to make a move. You got to get that house that's a little bit bigger because your family is expanding. Maybe you got to downsize. The kids are going off to school or their career. You want to be closer to your job. You want to be closer to your better school district or a better private school, or you want to get the hell out of Illinois. Whatever it is, you need to call my friends Rodney and Jen Wallner. Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. Mike Ferguson here for the Wallners. 314-810-SOLD. Here's my challenge with you. By the way, the Wallners, this is the real estate team that I trust my own family with. You know, I mentioned before, my mom is still deciding where she's going to move. We know she's going to move. She's either coming here to be close to me and Rachel, or she's going to go be close to my brother, Chris, and his wife, Melissa, in New Hampshire. Not sure what's going to happen yet, but she asked me specifically. She goes, Mike, you think so highly of Rodney and Jen Wallner. Will they work with me? Absolutely. They will take care of my mom. And she goes, yeah, but I just need a small place. It may not be worth their time. No, that's not how Rodney and Jen work. They have built a successful business by caring about the people they serve. And make no mistake, they understand they are serving you. They are in this for the right reasons. And they've built a good business in the process doing just that, because there is a difference. So my challenge, just give them a call. You're even thinking about buying or selling a home. Whether you're moving your family, whether you are buying something to invest in maybe rental properties or Airbnbs or something like that, call them at 314-810-SOLD. And by the way, that's their cell number. That's going to go right to their phone. So either they're going to pick up or they're going to call you right back. And just say, listen, Mike was talking about you on the radio. Here's what I'm thinking about doing. Give me your initial thoughts. They're going to do it. They're not going to say, well, come into our office. Hey, sign this contract, of exclusivity. So then we'll talk to you. No, they're going to give you their impressions. What I did the first time I talked to Rodney and Jen about this cabin that Rachel and I are in the process of working on here is Rodney, first of all, he goes, hey, he said, I think actually you may want to consider this, which is something I hadn't even considered at all. And it turned out he was right. And then he said, let me get you some comparable properties so you have a baseline of understanding what it is the market's calling for right now. That was so helpful. And every time I've got questions, they answer them. And so give them a call, 314-810-SOLD. You're going to find out, one, they know exactly what they're talking about. This is not one of those businesses where somebody got laid off somewhere else or got tired and sick of the boss and quit and said, well, I'm going to try real estate. Then they go on Facebook and say, hey, I'm a real estate agent. You know, somebody buying or selling a home, help me get my career started. That's not Rodney and Jen. They've been doing this for years and years and years. They know the St. Louis market. They're licensed in Missouri and in Illinois, and they understand how to empower you to get the best dollar for dollar deal, whether you are buying or selling a home. It makes a difference. This is not just an internet search for a home. Rodney and Jen will navigate you through that process. So give them a call today, 314-810-SOLD. Once again, tell them you heard Mike talking about them, 314-810-SOLD.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
Hey, Colombo here for the great team at All Solutions Pest Control. We've been using pest control services at our home for years, and the results we've had with All Solutions are second to none. So if you're experiencing a pest problem, or more importantly, want to prevent a problem, All Solutions Pest Control are the ones to call. Right now, you can take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer. Learn more and contact them now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Larry Connors, USA.
Hunter Biden and his artwork.
Excuse me, Hunter. Apparently you're afraid of my words. What a coward.
The art gallerist apparently claimed that one of Hunter's financial backers purchased most of his paintings for $875,000. What's this? Oh, it's a scribble, but really it's a man walking into his future and seeing his past at the same time.
You are the epitome of white privilege.
They were laundering money, and he had all of his friends coming forward to help him out.
Larry Connors, weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo from my friends at A Plus Plumbing and Drain, and they truly are our friends because they have done it all at our house over the years, from putting in a new faucet to installing a whole new bathroom from scratch. The team at A Plus has always done great work for a great price. A Plus Plumbing and Drain is a local family-owned business that can take care of all your plumbing needs and specializes in new construction and home renovation. Call A Plus for your next project at 636-288-7126 or through Facebook at A Plus Plumbing and Drain.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday, 9 to 11, right here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
I used to hurry a lot. I used to worry a lot. I used to stay out till the break of day.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the morning news dump.
We now know the fate of 3 library branches that were put on the budgetary chopping block. The update on that. Where did COVID come from?
I have a guess.
It's conspiracy theorist.
I'm sorry. I didn't even say it.
Oh, except now the science backs it up.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And could the Cardinals and Blues end up being the only remaining major league level sports in Missouri? Is that possible? I guess it is technically possible. All right, 8:25 right now. I'm Mike. Got Gabe here. Got Stell here as well. By the way, at 8:35, what happens in the airports and what happens on the planes that just really annoys you that you have no idea what could be going through somebody's head as to why somebody would think that's okay?
Oh, gosh.
The internet has spoken. Let's compare the list here. All right. The library branches will stay open in St. Charles County. At yesterday's meeting, the St. Charles City County Library Board of Trustees decided the technical term is indefinitely table the proposal to close 3 branches. District CEO Jason Kuhn, you probably recall, proposed to close the McClay, Kisker, and Deer Run branches as a cost-cutting move.
Kind of out of nowhere, by the
right?
way.
Yeah, that's the thing is he
that's
just
what
kind
really
of
started it.
Dropped a bomb on this. It wasn't like he just said, you know what? Hey, our costs are going up. We don't have the revenues. I think we may need to, put out a new request for bid of the lawn care services to see if he's like, I think we should maybe possibly shut 3 of these next month.
Yeah, seriously.
So yeah, that was a mistake in the messaging because, if you come in and say, hey, we may have to make some cutbacks. So before we get into fiscal year 2025, listen, we really need to consider which branches. I think at that point, people still have strong feelings, but then you go into it with a much more methodical discussion.
Absolutely.
Because what happened is people in these areas were all of a sudden, what do you mean my library may not be there in 3 weeks? Which is literally what it looked like there.
It's a bad move.
Hundreds of residents opposed the idea over the past month, flooding the board of trustees and the library CEO as well with phone calls and emails and some protests that were out there. The board says now it's going to focus on finding other ways to save money because they're going to keep the branches open, but it doesn't change the numbers on the spreadsheet. So now they're going to go through and be looking for things to cut or things to maybe add user fees or things they're going to charge for they didn't charge for before,
or possible taxation down the road.
Possibly, is there going to be another mill levy? So my challenge to everybody who spoke out so passionately against the closing of the libraries, first of all, that's the civic engagement we do need more of, whether I agree or disagree. Doesn't matter. This is the way it's supposed to work.
Oh,
so
yeah.
good for you.
Yeah, it's their community too, so you
But
get to say.
Don't say that you got the win and you just walked away. Now be part of the solution, because those elected and appointed officials still have to find a way to be good stewards of your money. And that means the budget has to balance somewhere. So be a part of that discussion as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. What else we got going on here? The Senate Homeland Security Committee holds a hearing on Tuesday to investigate the origins of COVID. And of course, the growing opinion on this is that it came from a lab leak in Wuhan, China. There was testimony from a variety of experts, frankly, with different theories on this. One of those was Dr. Richard Ebright, who is with the Waxman Institute of Microbiology at Rutgers University, where he is the laboratory director.
Multiple lines of secure evidence point to a research origin. By contrast, as I hope I will have the opportunity to review in response to questions, no, zero secure evidence points toward a natural origin.
In other words, it was the lab leak is what he's arguing. There are people who still say, oh, no, it was just natural. It came from somebody, eating bats or whatever in the wet market.
I think Fauci is actually still out there promoting the natural development. I thought I saw him on one of the morning shows that we had on here, still promoting the idea. It's like, hey, he did we ought to keep an open mind about the possibility of the lab leak. But he says the vast majority of virologists still suggest a natural origin. Yeah, sure.
And then whenever we discuss it, my mind always goes to Jon Stewart showing up on Steve Colbert's show, and John just bringing it right out there and saying, well, you know what? The building where the research was done said
it was right there.
Yeah, it's the Wuhan lab. And so wouldn't seem like it would come from there. And of course, Colbert just
he was shocked. He was trying desperately to get him off of that. And he would not. It was kind of hilarious to watch.
That was pretty funny. I may have to go watch that again. All right. President Biden says he's got plans to offer citizenship to hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants who are in the U.S. right now. So what he's saying right now is that if somebody's in this country illegally, they've lived here for a long time, and or they are married to a U.S. citizen, they can apply for permanent residency and qualify for citizenship without having to leave the country and do it right.
And by executive fiat, he's trying to do this as opposed to legislation.
Yeah, precisely.
This is crazy. It's absolute lawlessness.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott was on Hannity last night on Fox.
What Biden did today is illegal, unconstitutional. Texas is going to take legal action and put a stop to it.
And so there are people in the Biden administration who are saying this could affect 500,000 illegal immigrants with a very direct, expedited path to citizenship. And what they're going to do, Gabe, is they're going to pull out, you're trying to rip families apart. And they're going to show you a story, of a father or a mother, and they've married a U.S. citizen. They've got a kid. Are you really going to tear this family apart and make them go back to the end of the line in their country of origin and come through the right way?
Maybe.
I will. I mean, if you've been here that many years, you had time to get married. You had time to make it right.
Yeah.
That's on you. That's not on us. That's on you. Maybe I'm extra cruel, but I say, just getting married doesn't give you a, get out of violation card for free. But the Biden administration says, no, expedited citizenship for 500,000.
That's the other thing about it. At best, if you can make the argument, like for the dreamers, they came over here as kids, or the people married to U.S. citizens, you know what? Maybe you can make the argument for them being allowed to stay, but that to me would be permanent residence only and a ban. You will never become a citizen of this country.
And if you want to be a citizen, then do it the right way.
Yeah. Well, exactly. You got to go back and get in the back of the line.
Go through the process, just like everybody else. All right. The state of Kansas is all in on trying to lure both the Chiefs and the Kansas City Royals out of the Show Me State by wide margins. Their legislature passed a plan to provide hundreds of millions of dollars in tax incentives to the teams if they were to cross the border. Governor Laura Kelly appears certain to sign that bill and approve the incentives and bonds. We talked with Patrick Touhey from the Show Me Institute about that a little bit earlier today. That's going to be posted on our podcast here in just a couple of hours or so. All right. One of the greatest, maybe the greatest baseball player of all time.
Arguably so.
Yeah. Willie Mays died at the age of 93 last night. The 24-time All-Star, 3,293 hits, 660 home runs, a career batting average of just over 300.
301.
301. Barely made it. Yeah, but the lifetime batting average of over 300. He played in both the Negro Leagues and, of course, Major League Baseball for all those years. Mays was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 1979. Like I said, arguably the greatest ever.
Now, do those numbers include the Negro League stats, which are now included in the Major League
I
stats?
don't believe those numbers are included just yet on that. So
okay,
those
because they're still working through the.
Now he was in the
logistics of it.
Negro Leagues for like a half a minute.
It was.
Oh, okay.
And then
You're
they were
right.
like, "Oh, get this guy! Somebody sign this guy." So the Negro Leagues numbers wouldn't affect him that much because he wasn't in the Negro Leagues.
But I think he did make a comment about a week ago that, hey, I gained a few hits.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
A few of them. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
All right, Lance Lynn had a rough night in Florida, giving up 5 earned runs in 5 innings to the Marlins. This was part of a 9-8 loss for the Cardinals. Another extra inning game. This one went 10 innings. Goldie, Brendan Donovan, and Alec Burleson all had home runs. Deciding game of that series starts this morning. Don't say that very often. This morning at 11:40.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Summer officially begins tomorrow, but our local weather pattern continues to have summer written all over it. Heat and humidity in control today, up to 94 this afternoon. Top heat index at about 97. An isolated shower or storm possible this afternoon and early this evening, but emphasis on isolated. A little hotter tomorrow after a low tonight of 76. Thursday's high 96. And then we hit 99 both Friday and Saturday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
News commentary.
In a stunning change of heart, New York Democrats are turning on their beloved face snipers, even showing a willingness to ban them on subways. But will this solve their crime crisis? I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Donald Trump Jr. here. Since January of 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but you can stop your losses by diversifying into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to the number 989898 to get your free info kit from Birch Gold now. Message and data rates may apply.
I never thought I'd see the day when Democrats would turn on their most favorite inanimate object, the face mask. Well, thanks to a totally avoidable crime crisis on city subways, New York Governor Kathy Hochul is considering a ban on those face masks, and Mayor Adams supports it. But as much as I hate those face diapers, I highly doubt a ban would make a darn bit of difference in crime deterrence. Because, you see, first, crimes need to be punishable. We already know who most of the thugs are, masked or not, because most of them have been arrested more times than we can count. So I support a face mask ban, but before that step, perhaps end cashless bail and the refusal to prosecute crimes. Then go after the face masks. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Attention homeowners and businesses. AMF Electric has been your trusted partner since 1985. For your home, our residential experts treat every project with the utmost care and importance. From simple repairs to complete renovations, we've got you covered. Businesses. Our commercial team handles all types of construction with expertise and efficiency. Even clients from out of state request our top-notch services. Available 24/7. We're just a call away at 314-647-4066 or amfelectric.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL. Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton. St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
I want to know one thing. Where's the Republican outrage?
Live and local.
And how worked up are you news and political junkies for this one at this point?
This is News Talk STL.
Bang!
Well,
Do something, computer.
somehow the computer decided to totally stop right there. So, okay, we'll continue. I'm sorry, what did you say?
The computer said no.
Yeah, that's what it said.
Let's we have to make up our own bump music. This is your bump music. News Talk STL. Bump music. Bump music. All right.
I believe that the robot uprising will start with little inconveniences like this. It's basically just going to be AI screwing with us for a while.
Because if something goes like awry on your phone, how many people would literally stop, freeze, not know what to do? We're going to have millions of Joe Bidens all over this country, not knowing what to do, and then we are just ripe for the picking by the robot overlords.
It's going to start with messing with our Google Maps directions. It's like, turn around now.
Yeah, turn around again. There. I think if
you're on the highway,
if those maps said turn left, or turn, there would be people who would all day long go around a square block all day long. There are people who would do that.
There would be a circular traffic jam around the city.
Yeah,
just based on all of the Google Maps getting screwed over by an AI that thinks we're dumb.
There's our bump music.
Yeah, this wasn't actually what was supposed to play. So I'm just putting this in because we're all hypnotized.
Nice.
Little Fleetwood Mac on News Talk STL.
There you go. Okay. We should probably start the segment.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I mentioned this a little bit ago. There was a list on the internet. Oh, by the way, real quick, head to Busch Stadium on Sunday, June 23rd to see the Cardinals host the Giants that day. 25,000 fans age 16 and older will upgrade their style with a throwback St. Louis Stars hat, courtesy of Budweiser. Tickets and info at cardinals.com/promotions. That's a really cool hat.
Nice.
There it is. If you're looking at, you're looking on, I'm showing my copy there. The Cardinals send us, but there it is. It's a gray with blue. It's really cool.
Bring it up to the camera a little
closer.
How's that look right there?
That's good.
All right. Yeah. So it's the St. Louis Stars, of course, was St. Louis's Negro Leagues team as well. So there you go.
Nice hat, Budweiser. Still not buying your beer.
No, still not doing that. So grab the hat and enjoy a Yingling. Okay. So somebody asked the list. What are those really irritating things people do either at airports or on the plane?
On the plane itself.
So when you're flying. So either one of those. And I just had one that was on Rumble chat box, but we've had a lot. Let me scroll up here a little bit. Thanks for all the comments, by the way. It is, let's see here. Let's see here. Barely Big says, how about when the person behind you uses your seat back to pull them up?
Oh, and they grab.
And then you get that spring thing that
they drop in the seat from behind you.
Right.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Don't do that.
Now, here's the thing though, is that's really annoying. He's right. But they have made these seats and these spaces so cramped, it's hard to stand straight up.
Yeah, you kind of do need a handhold to sort of adjust yourself. But I mean, I managed to do it, so I expect the same of others. But I know that's often a expectation met with disappointment.
The so-called naughty air travel habits, and no, it's not a dirty thing.
Gosh.
It's just somebody mentioned this earlier. Somebody going barefoot on the plane.
That was me.
Yeah,
keep your freaking socks on.
Number 15, bringing strong smelling food on the plane.
Oh yeah. I mean, granted, grandma's halibut is awesome, but gosh, look, we're all trying to just get through. It's a contained space. The air is recycled. Please don't do that.
Yeah. One of the hazards with that, and I can give you a real story. We came back, Guy Phillips from our morning show on Y98, and I went up to a Cubs game at Wrigley. We stopped at Giordano's to get a couple pizzas to bring back on the flight back. So we're on the L and then on Southwest Airlines out of Midway with 2 fresh Giordano stuffed pizzas. And
how did you make it off the L?
You get attacked
without getting attacked. Well, we had plenty of comments, and it was hilarious doing it. And then the stewardesses would not let us on the plane unless we gave them some of the pizza.
They were probably serious too, because I think they actually could not let you on the plane.
I imagine so.
So that was the bribe that was cost. But by the way, good smelling food, yes. I'm okay with. Now, granted, it's going to make me super hungry.
Yeah, because you're going to want to eat it.
But gosh,
and
I
don't
love
take
it.
food from strangers on a plane.
No, don't do that.
Now, similarly here,
Mhm.
number 12 of the most annoying things is drinking too much. Number 13, wearing strong cologne or perfume.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, too much of
Yeah.
that. Kind of the same thing on there. There's definitely somebody like pushing on or kicking the seat.
Oh,
That.
gosh.
Oh, I hate that.
Hey, kid.
Knock it off.
Yeah.
The emergency exit isn't too far from me. And you don't seem like you weigh much.
The number 10 one, I don't really understand. It says ignoring the seatbelt sign. I couldn't care less whether you have your seatbelt.
No, I don't care.
You want to bounce around in turbulence? It's your noggin, man. I don't care. Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Number 9 was hanging or resting your legs in the aisle.
Yeah, that's okay. If there's nobody if we're all seated, if the seatbelt sign's on, we're all supposed to be in the seat. Whatever.
Yeah,
that's fine.
It's like stretch. I mean, again, they have crunched the seats in so small and so close together. I am 5'10" tall. I am the exact average height of a male in America, and I do not have room to have my legs in front of me. So if I can somehow stretch it out at some point, I'm going to do it.
I think it might just go back to paying attention, which
Yeah,
people just don't do. If your leg's out there and somebody's coming through, just you ought to realize that I'm coming through. Move your leg.
How about this one? Who's entitled to the armrests?
Oh, center gets both the interior armrest, the aisle and the window get the outside armrest.
That's correct.
Mhm.
And so there are people who on this was number 8. The most irritating thing, using both armrests if you are not in the middle seat.
That's true.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do that.
You're not supposed to.
Nope.
Yep.
Well, yeah. You're not supposed to.
Yeah.
There's no rule.
How about this one? Asking people to switch seats on a plane.
That's annoying.
I have mixed feelings.
It's annoying, and of course, generally speaking, you get to choose your seat. So
if you're on Southwest.
If you're on, yeah. Well,
or you buy your ticket.
If you buy your ticket ahead of time, you get to choose your seat most of the time.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes they'll say, no, you have to choose it at the gate, or it gets chosen for you at the gate and stuff like that. But I don't like that. I don't like it.
I just
you need a good excuse.
See, I just read a story literally this morning of a woman who pretended to play dumb. It turns out she knew what she was doing. She had bought the cheapest tickets for her and her 2 children, but they were all middle seats.
Yeah.
And so they just sat in a row together, and the people showed up like, hey, I'm sorry, these are our seats. Oh, no, would you mind switching? I'm sorry, I didn't know.
I really got to sit with the kids. Yeah.
The reality was that she just bought the cheaper seats, and
Of course.
she wanted to sit in the better ones. Somebody it's always like, can I sit? I want to sit with my kid or whatever. Offer me something.
Yeah.
Make a trade, make a barter.
There you go.
On this.
It's a free market.
Yeah, do that. Let's see here. Not putting your phone on airplane mode. I don't care.
Well, I mean, when the flight attendant is going through and saying, hey, everybody put your, because it actually does, at least in the 4G era, it does create a little small level of interference for internal systems and communications.
It can really?
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
That was a real thing.
Oh, no
yeah,
kidding.
Yeah. 5G is fine.
Okay, so at this point, everything should be 5G.
Yeah, pretty much. If you have an older phone, you might still cause it. But the thing is, we're not going anywhere until the flight attendant is satisfied. Just do the thing so we can leave.
Right.
That's my problem.
All right. Then there's the reclining your seat on the plane without asking the person behind you.
Technically, it's my seat.
Yeah.
And it can recline. So yeah, now I think it's polite. It's polite to ask, like, hey, by the way, man, I'm gonna just go back a little bit. Don't recline fully.
Yeah, see, that's it.
Because, gosh, you know what's happening when you recline fully in these seats.
I just don't want to be straight up at a 90-degree angle. So if I go back a little bit, suck it up, buddy.
That's enough. Yeah.
Yeah, but if I go all the way back, then you probably
you have a valid complaint.
On that, and then number 1, putting bags on the seats in the terminal. So
if you're sitting down, you're waiting, and you basically just kind of spread all your stuff out so nobody else can sit.
So nobody can sit right next to you instead of like putting it underneath you or whatever the case is.
If it's crowded, don't do that.
Yeah.
If you got room, hey, have at it.
Yeah, but if it's crowded and you're like, the seat taken,
I think it's all based on consideration of other people.
Yeah.
You're not the only person in the world. You're not the hero of this story. Just, you're cattle like the rest of us.
Of course, my number one is insisting that our First and Fourth Amendment rights be given away.
Oh, gosh.
With those blue-shirted perverts who grab your junk.
Seriously.
At the airport.
Seriously.
That's my number one gripe.
After those pat downs, man, gosh. Didn't even take me to dinner.
I one time when I was single, let me clarify, when I was single, I was flying a lot. At one point, I was at, where was I? I was either in like Santa Fe or San Antonio or one of those places. And I got picked for the
enhanced,
and I requested the really pretty female TSA agent to do it. And they were like, no, that's not how this works. I'm like, well, I don't want you. Didn't work that way.
If I'm going to get groped, at least let me enjoy it.
Right. Exactly. At least her. Now, that was before I was married.
Before you married.
Let me just
Clarify.
put that
Yes,
out there.
exactly.
Now I try not to fly at all if I can avoid it.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
Oh, it's not a meaningless question. Ask if they've been and gone.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I remember a talk about North Carolina in a strange, strange poem. You see, the sides were like glass in the thick of a forest without a road. And if any man's hand ever made that land, then I think it would have showed. And that's why it seems like they got me hypnotized.
My sponsor, McGuire Moving, has job openings for drivers and movers, offering competitive pay. You can be off every night if you want or on the road. You're off every other weekend. Full benefits, insurance, paid vacations. But McGuire is a very good company. So here's a very important requirement. You must excel in making customers happy. Full or part-time job? More information, go to McGuireMoving.com. Apply online at McGuireMoving.com/careers.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Never paint again with Rhino Shield. Listen to what a couple of happy customers have to say.
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted. Our building was really faded. You came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
What a wonderful job they did. It's beautiful. They were very thoughtful, kind, considerate guys. Appreciate all the work that these two young men did.
Call Rhino Shield, 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Replacing your roof is always a big deal and a big decision. That's why I want you to call my friends, the folks that we've trusted with our homestead, Eureka Contracting and Roofing. 636-938-ROOF. That's 636-938-ROOF. They are veteran-owned, over 30 years of experience in the construction and insurance industry. They'll replace 100% of your roof, siding, fascia, and gutters. They'll come to you with a personal consultation. Give them a call anytime that Mother Nature strikes you. 636-938-ROOF. Available 24/7 at eurekacontracting.com. That's eurekacontracting.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
On Wednesday, Tim and Chris have Zach Smith of Heritage on Biden's latest plan to appeal to undocumented families, and John Simmons on his campaign for State Rep District 109.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the News Talk STL app.
News Talk STL.
Streaming live on the mobile app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime.
Love the News Talk STL app.
Anywhere.
Yes, it did it again.
It did it again.
It did it again.
I was lamenting some of my experiences in radio for. All right. Okay. 5:52 right now. Got Gabe here. Got Stell here. We don't have any. There we go. Is that?
This is another one. That's a substitute for the one that stopped. So that's fine. Little Baker Street.
Baker Street. Yeah.
There you go.
So we get the effect.
Yeah.
All right. Got the news. First thing I saw this morning when I woke up is that one of the greatest, and many would argue the greatest baseball player of all time, Willie Mays, passed away. Did you know that there was actually in the 50s a song written about Willie Mays?
I did not know that.
Yeah, you want to hear it?
In the 50s?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
All right.
Here it is. Okay, here's actually a song that was written.
Say hey, say who, say Willie, say hey, say who, swinging at the plate, say hey, say who, say Willie, that Giants kid is great, that Giants kid is great, say Willie, what you gonna say, say hey.
And that was Willie Mays there doing the Say Hey cameo right there. Here's just kind of a collection of little pieces of interviews that Willie Mays did over the years. And then I've got all of his stats here, but I always say arguably the greatest baseball player of all time. I think you can make a really strong case. I just want to leave a little room for Hank Aaron to be in that discussion as well. But here are some of the glimpses into the way that Willie Mays just kind of looked at his career and his life and his place.
Are you Willie Mays, the greatest baseball player of all time? I don't do that. So many things happen with me on the baseball field that I could just look back and just replay every moment. I never had a day where somebody would not come up and say, I saw you make a play. I love you because of what you did for me. And it made me feel very, very proud because not only did I play baseball for the people, they enjoyed what I did.
Willie Mays signed with the Birmingham Barons of the Negro American League when he was 16 years old.
Oh, my gosh.
The New York Giants bought his contract, and he was playing Major League Baseball the next season.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So he started at 17 in the major league.
In the major leagues.
Wow.
Yeah. 17 or 18, depending on where the birthday lined out.
Man.
He was in the Polo Grounds by 1950. 24-time All-Star.
And as we had mentioned earlier, the Polo Grounds, that was a very spacious stadium.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you could have balls in the gap that would go for days.
That's right. Matter of fact, here's the thing is that when he was either 17 or 18, he was the Rookie of the Year for the National League.
That's crazy.
As well.
Synonymous with great baseball.
Yeah.
I think.
And keep in mind that 1952 and 1953, he was in the Army.
That's right.
As well.
Oh, yeah.
So
So he took a break.
About a year and a half. That's right.
Yeah. Which a lot of those guys did.
Yeah, they kind of had to.
A lot of them got called in. So, you look at his, overall statistics, you just can't argue with the numbers. One of the greatest. Again, I'm only saying one of the greatest. Many people consider him the greatest.
Yes.
He was also one of the greatest ambassadors for the game of baseball because he looked at it and treated it as something bigger than all of the individual players and personalities and things like that. And, I go back to my friend Bob Kendrick, who runs the Negro League Museum in Kansas City. By the way, if you ever get a chance to listen to his Black Diamonds podcast, it's so good, so interesting. And Bob argues, and I think there's a lot of credibility to it. He argues that the integration of baseball, of course, by the time Willie Mays was signed, baseball had been integrated.
Yeah.
Larry Doby was already in, Jackie Robinson was already in, Roy Campanella was already in. And so, Willie Mays was, just basically he was a star.
Yeah.
Who was brought in. He wasn't a star when he started. He became a star very quickly. But he said, this really kind of laid the groundwork for instance, the civil rights movement. But baseball was treated as baseball. It wasn't like the Kaepernick nonsense. We're going to succeed on our merits and let people go, there's an equality here. Just we need an equality of opportunity, and it laid the foundation and challenged a lot of thinking.
Yeah, sports is one of the purest meritocracies that we have as an institution. So when it shows you exactly what a meritocracy looks like, and then the rest of the country kind of follows suit. That's why you have all of these sports stars who were bigger than even their sport.
Right. And Willie Mays was one of those. So Godspeed, Willie Mays, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1979, his first year of eligibility. Truly one of the greatest ever, and a class act.
Indeed, a legend.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.